They can't though. They can't take risks.
They're just locked.
Well, they can't take
that's,
risks.
that's how you find the next genre. Like, can you imagine someone
next
going,
big
I want to
one.
make a Western? Like, are you insane? Westerns don't make money anymore. This happened in gaming. One of the reasons you don't have RTSs is because games cost so much money to make. The industry just decided that RTSs don't make money anymore, so they don't make them.
Well, they can't take risks. They can't take risks with comedy. That was evident in Ghostbusters 2016 when they didn't even bother trying. And it's very like uber leftist progressive. Like I unironically listen to NPR every day kind of comedy, and like safe comedy, and it was so fucking soulless and horrible, and it is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And I thought it was just going to be bad, but man, I've seen so much bad since then. It's like, no, this one's still the queen. This one's still the queen. So with Supergirl, they're doing the good old, let's distract everybody from the failures. And Ryan, you mentioned this morning. Let's distract everybody from the failures and make a bunch of announcements, to make it look like our DCU is doing great.
It was crazy. It had all the energy of, do you remember right after Wonder Woman 1984, and it was just getting eviscerated. Everybody was roasting it. And what did DC and Warner Brothers do? Hey guys, Wonder Woman 3 is in the works. Like in a desperate effort to pretend like, oh, everything's actually okay. What did we see? Like in the days after Supergirl. Oh, by the way, there's a Mr. Terrific show in production. By the way, Jimmy Olsen and Gorilla Grodd, the kooky TV show, we're casting for that too. Oh, and by the way, Deathstroke vs. Bane, that's a very important movie for us going forward. Oh, and by the way, Batman might be cast, guys, but he might not be. They flooded the fucking internet with everything DC related to stop people talking about Supergirl.
And I promise you, this comes from DC. All of that comes from DC Studios. We'll get to that part later. But yeah, every upcoming DC movie and TV show, from Lanterns to Man of Lanterns, comes out next month.
Nobody's talking about it.
It looks boring as hell.
It does.
And the people that are talking about it aren't talking positively.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
No one's talking positively about Lanterns, except for the shills.
So do we have a list?
See
I mean, we just kind of named it off, but I want to
Lanterns.
get to Lanterns because there's a rumor going around, and it could be complete bullshit, but I also kind of believe it, that Lanterns is, of course, a true ripoff of True Detective. It's going to take place in two timelines, so 2016, 2026, and Hal Jordan dies in the first episode.
Oh fuck!
Is
That's
this for
learning
real?
No, I don't know.
I
if it's
saw
real, but,
this leak
like,
earlier today.
It's believable.
I heard that on like
I can believe it, but I do not know if it's for real at all. Like, it could be complete bullshit.
No way.
I absolutely could believe that.
Oh,
Yeah.
He's not.
it just gets worse.
He's not going to be a Man of Tomorrow, so he's dying at some point, or something is happening to him.
I can see how it could be both, right? So if it's going to take place in two different timeline or two different time points, right? He dies in the first episode, then you go back in time, and then you see him in other points, and whatever. So they could be.
I hate that.
Yeah.
So
I
for
aggressively
Sargon,
hate that.
this is
Yes.
not the first Green Lantern, but the most well-known white Green Lantern is killed for, admittedly in the comic books, a very popular black Green Lantern. But they're going to take the one that you should be making a movie off first and just killing him because he's the white guy.
Yeah, it's because he's the white guy.
Yeah.
That's all it boils down to.
That's all it boils down to. Oh, I got a good
I did a video on my channel recently about this called Why They Race Swap. And I have read a lot of leftist theory in my career as a YouTuber,
a little bit,
who's about against the left, and I've come to the conclusion that the entire purpose of all of this is literally to dethrone the straight white man as the protagonist of Western civilization. There seems to be literally no other purpose behind it other than to steal the mythology of the West from white men, in order to give it to, of course, non-white people and women. And so every time they do this, as soon as you start thinking of it in those terms, you realize, oh yeah, I mean, of course, they're just fucking evil and they just hate us.
Yeah, I think that adds up.
Well, I mean, just look at everything they've made.
Yeah.
Look at the motivation behind it.
Exactly. Like
Precisely.
that actually answers their actions going back again up to 10 years and more, where their casting, the intention behind the stories and everything, if you just say, all right, is this meant to reduce straight white men in any way and reduce, all the things that we want to, push for as in terms of families and traditional values and stuff like that, it comes down to, I can really define it as simply that.
Well,
That's why you remove
about it
Greeks
is if
from
you
a Greek story.
Well, it's the best part about it, and we'll get to that, is if you argue against it, you're a racist. They have a built-in defense
Yeah.
for it. It's
Mhm.
like, oh, we're not doing this. You're a racist. And then they just continue to do it.
And then they just do it.
And
And then they
just-
brag about doing it.
And they brag about
Yep.
it. This I think this is great right here, by the way.
But
But
just a quick
Regular
thing on that as
Dudes,
well.
the movie, by the way.
On that,
Dude, costume designers are
racist point,
phoning it in.
that's actually really important, right? Because what they're saying when they say, "Oh, you're a racist for objecting," is you're not allowed to argue your own case. And it's like, sorry, in what fucking world am I not allowed to argue my own case as a straight white man? Like, that is wild, isn't it? The fucking arrogance of saying, yeah, we're going to do something. You're not allowed to object because we don't like you. It's like, no, I am allowed to object. And actually, the words you use to characterize me really don't prevent that. I don't care if you call me a racist. I'm still going to argue for my own side in this argument. You fucking shits.
Yeah. And it worked for a long time. For many
did.
years, it worked. It kept a lot of people quiet, and now it just doesn't work as much. And that's why, they melted down, they being the Access Media and the other side of the movie sphere have been fucking losing it over Supergirl. Just absolutely losing it.
Well, I think at this point, the only people it works against are leftists. It doesn't work against people that are in the middle or to the right anymore.
I'm not sure it ever worked though, because when their movies were still making money, they were riding high off the glories of the past. But the moment people decided, no, this is crap, and everything that comes out of this will always be crap, people stopped going, and every movie stopped losing box office. Even left-wing people don't go and watch these movies because
No,
it
they
does
don't.
seem to be there has to be something that reflects reality for you to get immersed in the story in the first place. And even if you agree with the ideology of it, you don't seem to actually be satisfied by the story. It's like Supergirl. There's nothing heroic about it, and even the women it's trying to preach to that you can just be messy and disgusting don't go and watch it because they don't want to be messy and disgusting. I think this is a problem you're going to have with many things because it was after Project Hail Mary. You saw articles about Hope Corps is the future of Hollywood, and then immediately Hollywood went straight back to we're just going to be depressing and miserable and messy and disgusting and heroism is evil. And so I'm not sure, even if you want to dethrone like the Western idea of heroism, I don't think it works. You can try it all you want. You will keep failing.
It doesn't work. What I meant by work is it worked in the press. So it was the press. It shut people down. That absolutely worked for a long time. And we had to kind of dig our way out of that for a while. And now it doesn't work at all. But the press and the Access Media had a lot of power 10 years ago. Disprove that fun over the
that
studios,
came from
not the customers, over the studios.
That came from people essentially exploiting the morals of their betters, though. It was literally, I know you're a good person, so I know you will respond to this term and this slur and try and defend yourself. Whereas people just stop defending themselves and stating it. You see it a lot now where they're going, oh, well, things can be interpreted this way and reinterpreted this way. And as long as you just don't care, it's like, look, I'm telling you what I think. This isn't a negotiation. You either make me a movie that I like or you don't get my money. It's that simple. Everything immediately failed.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right.
Well, Carl was there in the early days, when somebody be called a racist, they well, what? I'm not a racist. They immediately have to defend yourselves, and that puts you on, uneven footing, and that's the whole point of it.
Well, so suddenly the conversation has been completely inverted because you were saying, hey, this movie looks shit, so they have to defend their movie, and then they say, oh no, you're a racist. Now you have to defend yourself. So now the movie isn't even what's in question anymore.
Yeah, and you could, and back in the day, it used to be, well, no, I'm not. Like, look at this, look at this, look at this, and it's never going to be enough because no, it's actually what's in your head and these preconceived notions, all this bullshit. At this point,
in your head,
I think
society.
Yeah, I think all of us have just adopted. Hey, look, I wouldn't call it racist. I'd call it a realist. I think that's where everybody is.
I mean, the answer is simple enough now. It's like, no, screw you. Now let's talk about the film again. It's like,
Yeah.
It's just to get it off of the original argument.
hopefully, well, a lot of people aren't going to listen, and fuck it, we're going to go over that John Campea video in a little
Well,
bit.
I was thinking of him about the people that get on board with the, well, I can't be seen as one of the bad people, so I'm going to do everything that I can to try and justify the narrative with whatever reach.
I think it'll be a good lesson, and like we'll hear his side, written by ChatGPT, and then read by Campea, and then we will give our side of the argument. I think that's fair, right? And we'll give him his fair time. And listen, he hires RMB, and we love RMB, you know. And there's a lot of people I'm friends with who completely disagree with our take on the Odyssey, but you know, I don't know if they've heard it all or want to hear it all, because there's a lot of blinding on both sides from politics on this one, when we're arguing over the movie and the reason, the motivation behind the casting, which is a red flag for what else they're going to do in the movie. Like I've said in every one of my videos, when you see a black female dwarf, well, that means, oh, well, they're going to probably gut Tolkien's text. That's exactly what happened. So we were justified, because it's a sign. It's a sign of how much they care. And believe me, they care. And then they try to come back at you and go, why should it matter? It's just a fictional story. Well, if it doesn't fucking matter, then why change it?
I bet the Woman King would have done a lot better at the box office if it was some hot white girls. I mean, 6-year-old Viola Davis or whatever the fuck they did.
The New York Post has recently
Woman
gone,
Queen.
well, the thing about Helen of Troy is actually that it wasn't about how she looked. I said, well, if you don't care how she looks, I do. That means I win. Because you can have whatever you want, you'll still go and watch it. They do fall foul of just basic capitalism at that point.
Nobody's listening to a word you're saying.
You're making really good points.
Nobody's listening to
Very good
anything you're
points.
saying.
I was looking at mommy milkers.
It was a good point, though. I was listening.
Yeah.
There was a tweet about this that just went full of milk, and then underneath it's just a load of people. How can you objectify her this way? She chose the dress. Nobody else.
We're just looking at a clip that
She's
somebody else
glowing.
filmed.
Yeah.
Just glowing.
We're just innocent men.
Yeah.
Just normal men.
Just normal men.
There we go.
It is
What's
interesting
that from?
that
Positive.
that's from the Odyssey
human
premiere in
reproach.
France.
No, the normal men thing. Oh, I can't remember what it's from.
It's just
Oh,
normal men.
Oh,
Normal men.
just
It's a little,
normal
a little puppet.
Yeah.
It's the bear puppet and that girl
Yeah, it's-
laughing so hysterically from some
We're
kid
just
show
innocent men.
in your country.
Yeah.
But it is interesting how they've done it with the premiere, that the first day it was kind of be like, no, Helen of Troy is the most attractive woman in the world, we've got to do that line. And then she got beaten by Zendaya. So in the next day, Zendaya had to wear a face mask so she couldn't top Helen of Troy. And then along comes that, and she's like, I'm going to be more attractive than both of you. Take all attention away. Brutal.
She just should have been naked on the red carpet at that point.
Anne Hathaway is crushing them every single time she shows up. There's no match for her. None of them are.
But it's
That's
Anne
just
Hathaway.
crazy.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
this isn't new, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mogged. Mommy
Is that-
milker
yeah,
mogged.
Mogged.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Mommy milker
White
mogged.
mogged.
I hate that I know what the word mogged means. God, I hate the internet.
I hate it all.
You have to start jester maxing.
Yeah.
Can I make an unpopular defense of the word mogged?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think that the reason it sort of has fallen into discourse, because it actually does serve a function, because there's a kind what it's playing on is kind of like virtue, actually, because you don't have to explain virtues, right? You know, that who's that footballer who's 6'5" and is going around just like standing over everyone else, just ignoring them on the pitch, basically. Like his height and strength is a virtue, so he doesn't need to have it explained. So the term mogged is kind of like saying this guy has a bunch of virtues that apply in a circumstance. So I think it actually is a good term, and I think that's why everyone uses it.
To me, it's just like the only time I really see it used is by these looks maxers,
Yes.
that crowd, you
Yes.
know, and it's just becoming so annoying, that whole world.
And that
You
is
just had-
true.
And you
Yeah,
just
that's
had
true.
one of those guys die at like
You're just
30
Gen
years
Alpha.
old.
Wait,
31.
you
Gen
you know
Alpha.
that like we're just fucking old men. Like
100%,
Jeremy, your
yeah.
parents,
Yes.
fucking when you came home when you were 19 years old, you just got done listening to your fucking Dre cassette or whatever the fuck. You started saying some word and they're like, Why the hell are you speaking like that? What kind of fucking word is that? What does that even fucking
This is
mean? Back
sad.
in my day, we didn't use that shit.
To be fair, I was singing Tupac lyrics. My dad says, "I like that word." I'm like, "It doesn't mean the way you use it, Dad." But you know.
Yeah, for me, it's just self-awareness, knowing that of my age, I shouldn't be using that word, like at all.
Time to give it out.
That's what makes it
of
even
the
better.
lingo.
Yeah.
I love ruining things for youngsters. I'm at that time of life.
Oh, that's called being a parent.
I know.
Yeah, it's great.
That's why it's like, no, it's totally mogging, son. You're right.
Yeah, on God.
I love
No
ruining
cap.
things
Oh,
for young
God.
people too, like their economic futures.
Well, I'm not a boomer. Jesus, calm down.
So, do we want to bring up our list of clips that came out this week? So, God, I was in the middle of making my video. What was it, Sunday? And I said a line in my video like, well, there's been a lot of backlash with the Odyssey, but at least the press hasn't been obnoxious. At least it's been okay. Fucking
Why did you say that?
half an hour later, I get Lupita Nyong'o everywhere. I'm like, oh,
You're flying the bumblebee.
Oh,
They all come in.
God, that was such a stupid comment too.
Celebrities.
All right, we're gonna start off.
This
Oh, I
one-
love this
We're gonna
one.
start off light.
Okay,
This is great.
This is Cersei, by the way, in the story, who's supposed to be beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And apparently that's like her scene is the horror scene that everybody's talking about, Jeremy, apparently.
I can
Samantha
see that.
Morton
based
into
on
animals,
the text.
doesn't she?
Samantha
In
Morton.
history, women have been vilified, whether you're a midwife, whether you're, a herbalist, whether you're a healer, whether you're just in tune with the moon. Like, women have just been vilified throughout history, and I think that was
Yeah,
my take on
totally.
it. But also, Chris's interpretation of the original text
That's
and then
important.
kind of condensing it into this essential oil of Cersei was phenomenal. And that I just worked from the text. It was all there.
I just read the lines, Jeremy. I'm an actor, and I just recited the lines that were given to me.
I just read the text. Give me millions of dollars, even though I'm playing a victim because I'm a woman. Yeah,
tune
it's
with
just-
the
Yeah, I was gonna say, look, I don't know how many midwives have been vilified over the course of human history, but I
feel
will
like I
say
missed
this:
out.
if women had been vilified over the course of human history, you are not fucking helping your case in a 30-second clip. Okay, now a lot of us will understand. In tune with the moon. Are you talking about your fucking period? Are you talking about witch shit?
Witchcraft. She's trying
Oh,
to say
witchcraft, yeah.
women who were burned to be witches in the past means that they were horribly oppressed. I'm thinking, how many men died in wars compared to women in the past?
Dude, we
Like,
just
oh,
had a
like,
guy
do we
during
wanna
the
play this
witch
game,
trials
like-
too, which is dumb.
We just had a guy jump from a plane because he was sitting with a woman. Okay, that's true. He jumped out of the plane and ended himself because he had a female in there with him. She probably was talking about her fucking problems and her friends'
I'm
problems.
in tune with the moon.
Talking, and he was like, you know what?
I was,
You know what to
I was
do.
looking
Outta here.
at my horoscope, and
Yeah.
it seems like my next match should really be a Leo.
Mars kind of retrograde.
And according to her quote was, he said, "You know what to do," and he jumped out. That's literally like,
Parachute on this plane? Ah, fuck it.
It's actually weird how often that happens. There are other clips of people going, "Hello, I need to emergency landing. My co-pilot has just jumped out of the plane." And they're like, "Excuse me, do you need help?" He's like, "My co-pilot has just jumped out of the plane."
Let me repeat.
It's wild because there was a couple times on that 14-hour drive to and from DC, I was feeling the same fucking way. I almost did that. So we're lucky I made it back, honestly.
oh shit! Oh boy!
All right, here we go.
This one.
Oh man.
I can't stand.
This is a good starting screen.
celebrities.
That's very good.
And she got a master's of fine arts at Yale.
High
She
level
never read the
education.
Odyssey.
Most beautiful
Really
woman
putting it to work.
in the universe.
I'd be like, so Homer, how do you feel about the screen time given to these women, considering how little you spent with them?
Oh,
sick bird, bro. So
look at him like
Yeah, it's like,
I made
remember
I made a video for this. I had to re-record a couple times because there was a couple of words that I was I can't. Oh my god!
I was gonna say the face that launched 1,000
Yeah.
social media bans for use of slurs.
Dude,
like
it's
that's
crazy, man. Holy
It's
shit.
probably worth
Does she have a
remembering
wonky
that
eye?
in Homer's day, there was 0 political rights for women. Just FYI.
Yeah.
Based.
And
Well,
also,
that can tell
Utopia.
you what Homer's response to her would have been. Is like, no, there's way too much in this film. Get them all out.
I
There's
would
actually,
really
like,
like
You can read.
look, especially for the time, there's actually a lot of female, like, there's actually a lot of attention on women in the story. Some of it positive, some of it negative. Just like the attention on men in the story, some of it positive, some of it negative. Like, there's good men, there's evil men, there's good women, there's evil women, there's a mix of in between. There's actually a decent amount of it in the Odyssey, especially when you think this story that was written so long ago, and it's still present and still there. And is she implying that this author who we know so little about, and people even debate whether it was multiple people or just one person or whatever, this author we know so little about from thousands of years ago, is she saying he's fucking gay?
No, sexist.
No, sexist.
Like, because the idea of that you spent so little time with, like, that's the comment right there that seems to evoke something as if like he's gay. Like,
the question
no,
was posed to her: if she was watching the movie with Homer, what would you say to him? So that's her response to
So
it.
maybe Homer was in the manosphere because he was gay.
By you spent so little time with, she means in the book from the perspective of women in the book.
Yeah.
But this is understandable if you're telling it from the point of view of Odysseus. Obviously, most of the time is going to be from the male perspective. This is just a matter of fact. But all
figure.
of this comes from Emily Wilson's translation, because that's how she looked at it, that a lot of the interpretations have been misogynist. And so hers wanted to put more emphasis on that. And a lot of the interviews have done that skewed thing of, it's kind of the same story, but we're going to change a few words, which entirely changes the meaning of the thing, which I think is what this is. Emily Wilson's is like, well, these women weren't really people, and so I'm going to expand their roles and give more like the emotional depth, and there's a lot of talk that backs that up.
Yeah, I think one of the concerns is if they use Emily Wilson's translations and the motivation behind it, they're going to rework all the female characters, which will change the context of the story, and they'll make them either they'll gas them up a little more, or a victim of circumstance or the patriarchal society, because that's Emily Wilson's lens. And she specifically said in one interview, like, we've seen this through the lens of men, of English men, particularly. She points that out. English men,
The worst kind of man.
the worst kind of men. And I'm going to change that perspective, which is her saying through my perspective, through my academic.
You know what I want? I want an Islamic translation of the Odyssey. What's the role of women then, just out of interest?
There won't be any women in it at all.
They'd still get hung for being with the suitors. That is the scene that will tell you definitively which translation is using, though. The amount of times the word slave is used, and whether it's deemed that they were voluntary or not in that regard with the suitors, will just tell you yes or no.
Well,
which
we already
translation
know
is
he's using the Emily Wilson one. He said.
No, he didn't.
He's referred to it multiple times.
That
Well,
is no. Here's what's happened. He made 1 or 2 references, and the internet ran with it. That's the only translation.
And then
that is
Zendaya
not,
took a picture with the
and that is-
Emily Wilson book.
Yeah, that is not that's not what happened though. What's happened is he said he has read more translations than he can remember in preparation for this, but he's only named Emily Wilson's. But the narrative is that he's applying that, and there's no proof of that. That's only speculation.
I think that's a lot of good evidence to imply that that's something he heavily.
I think it's
inspired by.
reasonable.
Not
to
necessarily
believe
the
that-
entire
I think
thing.
it's
It
very
could be.
reasonable to
It
believe that
could
it's been
be,
used in some
but
aspects, particularly from what some of the actresses have said.
It
Yes,
could
a
be,
lot-
but I'm just saying there's nothing to support the fact that it is. We don't know that for
Like a
sure.
direct.
A
Correct. Well,
lot-
in terms of like the claim that Christopher Nolan has said this entire thing is based off Emily Wilson's translation, that hasn't happened.
Right.
I do think based on, and all we can go off is by what people are saying in press things, and off, actors and actresses say retarded shit because they are absolutely retarded. But I think it's fair to speculate that in all likelihood, a lot of the female parts in this specifically probably have been inspired a lot by Emily Wilson's
I agree
translation.
with that.
And he's probably pulled different things from other things as well. That's my guess.
Yeah, I agree
Well,
with
on
that.
the surface, the Emily Wilson, it's supposed to be modernizing it, right, for the modern audience, and that implies to her that it's a feminist modern audience. And
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan has said that when he's talking about the daddy and all that, like we're updating it to a modern audience.
The important thing, Garrett, is reinterpreting the language in the text, which is something that comes from Emily Wilson that was echoed by at least one actor I saw.
So there's two parts to it. There is the modernizing the language because she wants this to be the definitive edition that goes into universities to teach people going forward in the future. Nolan has also said that he sees movies as like a cultural photograph which builds on things, and so future culture builds on those cultural photographs. So that's the way he sees his movie. And then you have the other part, which is she is doing it from a feminist angle because she thinks they're the ones misogynist. She wants it to represent what she read in the movie, and she does objectively change a lot of the meanings.
But we also have 20 years of Nolan movies, and he's never pushed an agenda, and that has to be acknowledged.
Yes, that's why it's so surprising with this casting.
Hold on. He race swapped Commissioner Loeb in the fucking Dark Knight. Okay.
Are you comparing the race swap of Commissioner Loeb?
I'm saying race swaps are bad no matter who they are.
Yes, but you also have to consider like the prominence of character, prominence of story, and this isn't like Dark Knight,
hold on.
Hang on.
As I have repeatedly said, I think Lupita Nyong'o is not going to be in this movie more than a few minutes.
This isn't just a ninth reinterpretation of Batman. This is the first big budget.
Batman is more
adaptation.
like Batman is just culturally relevant as everything else.
This is the first big budget adaptation of the story
of all stories. Right, but don't dismiss the cultural relevance of a superhero. That's why we do what we do.
I'm not arguing that. I'm arguing that this is way more prominent to them. Okay, to them.
And also, I agree with you. We shouldn't be race swapping anybody, blah, 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 right? However, I do think that there's a difference. Even I believe Lupita Nyong'o is probably only in this for a handful of minutes because I don't know how they get her part in this that big. I think it's only given me a couple minutes. She is playing two characters. But the idea that the iconography and the cultural relevance of somebody who for thousands of years was viewed as the most beautiful woman in the world that like had people so enraged that you would start massive wars over, that so many people would die over, that face being changed into the blackest motherfucker you've ever seen in your life, that isn't more insidious and bothersome than Commissioner Loeb being racist.
100%. Obviously, I hate that this black chick is in this movie. So I'm just trying to bring some, level-headed thinking to Christopher Nolan has never pushed wokeness in movies, so that he's noted for the conversation.
The first what I want to say on that. So what Christopher Nolan is known for is taking things and adapting them and making them like a grounded, modern take on that. Right? That's what he did with Batman. He's done all of his movies are very bland, modern, like
he's
reality.
Really good at verisimilitude.
So he's taking
really good.
It seems like he's taking the most up to date interpretation of the Odyssey, which is Emily's interpretation, and making that into the movie. That inherently makes the movie a feminist woke thing, but what he's doing is just making it his modern
and we can
version.
only base it off of what we've seen. Okay, we can only base it off of what we've seen, and that's what's been the surprising part. In all of my videos, I've given Nolan plenty of respect, and basically said, if Nolan's name's not attached to this, everybody's fucking roasting the shit out of it. But it's Nolan's name that's keeping people from going, this is, I know some people are saying it's a flop, but I would argue against that. But it's Nolan's name alone that is keeping people from going, oh, this is just gonna be a fucking woke disaster. It's hang on. So I have fully expressed that he is the biggest name in Hollywood. He puts butts in the seats. He's never really done this in the past. That's why it's so surprising that he's playing this game. But by all accounts, by all fucking signs, he's playing this game. Like it's and I compared it to other movies and I compared it to other shows. And we can talk about one or two successes with this. We can talk we could talk about one or two successes with this, and I can point to 100 failures. So like we don't know. But we are giving it a benefit of the doubt that I would normally wouldn't give Hollywood. That I normally wouldn't give Hollywood because of Christopher Nolan.
Was the 97 made for TV one that everybody loves playing the game because they race swap Calypso?
Well, this is the problem, though. If you get focused on things,
Are you
such
going
as
to
yourself,
compare
Helen of Troy is going to be a
97
really
TV show to a
I'm just
big budget Chris
asking
Nolan movie?
if it's
I
the
wouldn't.
same thing.
the problem is the race the race swap itself. If you hang up on that from which is a significant American's perspective, has a far more significant connotation over there than just for the rest of the world. This is deeper than that. It is literally imposing modern morality on a 2,700-year-old piece of work, which is why she's changing the thing from like housemaid to slave, because Emily Wilson specifically said slave carries a moral connotation in today's day and age than it did 8,000 years ago. That entirely changes the meaning of the work. It's not just someone's skin color, which is the entire thing.
Wasn't her non-usage of bitch and slave more so because it was more in line with the ancient text and that language didn't exist?
No, it's because and I have a video of her saying it. She says it's because the word slave carries in modern day the connotation of moral evil.
Okay,
she specifically
and that's
said it's
fair.
for
I'm
evil.
just asking, so I wasn't clear because I heard someone else breaking down the Emily Wilson translation, and he had made that claim that the reason that she moved away from that, and he's into the whole Greek mythology stuff. So that was his
so much so he.
reasoning. So
Okay,
the thing is, it's not that.
And he
it's not that they weren't.
And he was not looking forward to the Nolan movie. He is heavily criticizing it, but he was making that point about it.
I did.
So
hear
other
the
translations
word
do
in
other
that
translations do occasionally use the word slave, because by our modern definition that is what they were. But she uses slave for like all the time. It's crammed in there to hammer home the message, and it is specifically so that you get the modern moral connotation. Whereas then housemaid is more accurate, because even though they were slaves, there was no moral condemnation of that then. That's just a part of the natural world. So it would be like saying, like, if money vanishes in 100 years, we would all be considered slaves because we are working for money when money was eradicated. It is that kind of thing. But we don't see that as a moral problem, working for money now. And I mean, you should be giving the morals of the time in a piece of work, not now, and reinterpreting to build forward to the future.
I agree.
Disparu raises a very good point about that, because from a different lens, regular people could be considered slave, and in fact people have already tried to do that. The very term wage
Colin
slave.
Kaepernick.
Hey, have you ever had to work in a fucking office? Are you kidding me? Yeah,
exactly. So the term wage slave literally comes from that,
Colin Kaepernick was a slave in the NFL. He told all of us after making millions of dollars. So it does happen these days.
We have a ton of slaves. They're all on
But it's also a very kind of communist argument, the whole idea that we're slaves because we have jobs.
Yeah,
but I have a question for you, Jeremy.
Okay.
So same scenario, all the same red flags that we see with Odyssey and everything like that. What would your reaction to all the red flags be if this was not Nolan? If Nolan was not, and in fact, replace Nolan with a track record known progressive, insane ideologue.
Dave Filoni.
Like Dave Filoni or something.
Well, what about One Piece?
Replace him.
I fucking loved One Piece, and it has all the same red flags as
but
this
that's
shit.
after we've watched it.
When
we watch the trailer, it doesn't matter because right now we haven't watched
honestly, I watched that. It's garbage.
It does matter because we haven't watched.
One Piece
Odyssey.
isn't trying to replace. There is a big difference here, and we could actually see it with the last Airbender season 2. Very similar. They're coming from animation, Netflix live adaptation. Good comparison. The difference here is the One Piece show is not trying to replace the manga or the animation. It has to live and coexist in the original world. Everything else, and if we look at the Avatar show is attempting to replace the animation. So when we look at, and Gary said it before with the book, so yes, they're trying to take this Emily Wilson adaptation, and that is replacing the source text. That is replacing what would originally have been considered what we use. This movie is meant to replace the 97 TV show, every film that came before it. This is and it's not for us. This movie is not for us as much as we think it is. It's something that we've been talking about a lot here. This is meant to replace the actual belief of heroes and storytelling for the next generation. This is not about us. We will talk about it, but it is not for us.
I can also go back to you. I can just use another example of the first Dune movie, which I covered the race and gender swap. Who was the character that the white guy that turned into a black chick?
Doctor, yeah.
I covered that. I was bitching about it. Didn't really know anything about Dune. Went to see Dune. Fucking mind blown at how good that movie was. But it has a race and a gender swap of a key character in the movie.
Well, and also Chani, period. So
exactly. So those are
Zendaya's obviously a halvesy, but
right.
know.
Yeah.
Well,
so
and
that's
that
something I
story
had
isn't
no.
done yet, by the way. And in the third movie, it looks like they're taking
Trailer.
Chani and completely changing her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that would be to answer the question of something I have like
More.
no reverence for or anything like that. In terms of Nolan, like my whole thing is I've complained about Helen of Troy and Trans Weirdo being in this movie. My first video on it, I said the Odyssey deserves to fail, but it won't because it's Nolan. And that is something that a lot of the Matt Walshes and the in wokenesses and the right-wing commentators that suddenly love to talk about pop culture, they're pretending that Nolan is just this left-wing wacko. And I think that's the wrong tree to bark up. Because if this movie does $1.2 billion, all of this shit about its woke DEI slop is going to make everybody talking about it in that sense look really bad.
That's the point. That's
So
exactly it. It's the perfect storm. You got Nolan.
So give the
Zendaya, Tom
context. So
Holland,
give
Matt
the
Damon.
context to it
So
when you're talking
every-
about it.
Well, yeah, I mean
yeah,
that's the point. It's not the changes that are being made and done at the context level are not for us. It is to change the really humanity's perception of these stories. That is what is being done at the foundational level here, and yet they stack the deck. This is revenge for Snow White. This is revenge for everything that we've been fighting all
But do
this
you guys?
time.
But
They
hang on.
have
Do you guys
literally
really think
thrown
that's what
everything
Nolan,
at the wall.
based on his whole history? You guys think that he's sitting around plotting, going, "I'm going to pay these fuckers back for Snow White"? Like, do you
Not,
really
not
think
in that
that's
sense.
what he's doing?
No, I think
This
he's
is a
being-
natural side effect
No,
of
no, like,
Hollywood.
I think
that's
it's
the
a side effect
delusion
of
when
Ho-
people think that like Nolan is.
It's an
that-
osmosis of Hollywood. They
that's
just
the
pick this shit up.
delusion that when people think Trump is operating on 7D chess and he's making all these fucking Q
Jeremy.
moves and shit.
No, no, it doesn't.
Maybe
Whoa,
he's
Jeremy,
doing
what are
he
you
wants to
saying?
do.
Jeremy.
But there's
You
no
know?
7D chess in the
I
Iraq.
know, and it's just like
Exactly, that's what he means.
Jeremy.
Maybe Trump's just doing what he
Nolan
wants to do, and
has
Nolan's doing what he wants to do.
Age.
Yes,
He's
Jeremy.
had
I mean, like,
this freak in a movie before.
Jeremy, do you
He
think
has
Nolan
to
before they were a
actively be
freak.
trying to do that to do
Well,
that.
Just kind of always a freak.
I don't
Jeremy,
think
do you-
Nolan
I think
has
Jeremy
to
is right.
actively be trying to do all these things to do those things. He could just be a generally leftist guy that doesn't care about gender swapping or whatever, that will take whatever the modernist version of Odyssey is. He then makes that, and that is all these horrible hallmarks that we see that are, like Fake Wizard saying, doing like a big fuck you to everybody that
It's real
said woke
simple.
is bad.
Okay, here's what's going to happen. I'm either going to be right
He
or
doesn't
going to be
have to
wrong.
actively
all right?
be doing it.
99% of the internet is against me on this. I understand that. I'm either going to be right or I'm going to be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. But guess what? When it becomes a huge success and it's universally loved, the goalpost will shift. Everybody will make up excuses. And I'm sitting here going 20 fucking years of nothing but success from this guy. That's why it's successful. No other reason.
I don't think
People
anybody
use
can
notice-
Barbenheimer
do you notice
as
that
reason
your
why
bar-
Oppenheimer is successful. You know,
Your
I'm like,
your entire argument for the movie isn't that it's going to be good; it's that it's Nolan.
bullshit.
and my-
No, whoa. I have consistently said I think it's going to be good.
Oh well,
I have
that's,
consistently said
that's
I think
not
it's
what
gonna
you,
be
you
good.
keep saying. It's because it's going to win because it's Nolan, not because it's going to be
I
successful
have
because it's a good movie.
consistently
I'm
said
gonna
I
ask,
think it's going to
who are
be
you
good
arguing?
and it's going to be successful.
Because
it's
I don't
certainly
think it
could be.
matters
None
whether
of
it's a
us
box
have said
office
it's
win or
not gonna
not.
be
Because
successful.
let's say it makes pick however many billions you want, it doesn't actually mean that the changes weren't a problem. It just means that it was box office success.
I
my
agree.
entire
I
argument is
literally-
my entire
I
argument has
literally
been that,
said that.
these changes make bad stories, and therefore it means it will fail in the long term. It doesn't really matter to me whether it's up or down. I think I will win anyway, specifically because these things don't satisfy people on a base human level. And it'll be the same with this.
The box office is important, though. This is
We
a
talk about
huge
it all the
cultural
fucking time,
moment
and
Well,
because
it's
suddenly
important to
when it
Hollywood.
goes
It's not
one way,
important to
it's
me.
not important. It's fucking
Look,
crazy.
I think this is a
Well, wait a
I don't
minute.
care whether
Wait a
Superdome
minute.
won.
There's more-
This is a
pillars,
huge
but-
moment, and it's a really complex and complicated moment because I think there's a decent chance that the two people that are the biggest problems casting wise have very minimal roles in the movie. And even if they do push some feminist messaging and make some changes, there's a chance that this is going to be received well by the critics, by the general audience, and be hugely financially successful. And it's going to be this big hallmark that people can point to and say, for the past several years, they've been
100%.
trying to convince us we've had these failings that woke is
Yep.
dead, woke is dead. But
And
look
they
at this.
stack
Look at this.
the
That's why
deck.
it's important. That's
That's
why
the
the
point.
box office
Stack the
is
deck.
important.
And to
And I
think
think
that
it's important
motivation-
that people frame their arguments from a place of reality.
And that is what I've been
about what
doing
this
this
movie
whole
could
fucking
do.
time.
Otherwise, look, I thought a lot of people looked fucking retarded when Barbie ended up making $1.5 billion, right? Because you had, and this is a completely different thing, but you had people who were like, look at this feminist trash, woke bullshit, it's gonna flop. And it's like, well, there's a huge audience out here for this. Like, that's very unrealistic. And I think people right now who are projecting $350-400 million worldwide for the Odyssey, I think that's completely unrealistic. This is going to damage the box office. This controversy is going to damage it in some way. But does that turn a $1.2 billion movie into a $750 million movie? Like, these are the things that we don't know. And it's going to be really interesting to see it play out.
And when Odyssey breaks $1 billion, it gets us all one step closer to Shang-Chi 2. Let's go.
Yes, it will.
I'm ready for
No,
it.
but
it will. Which will fail.
That's why
You have to look at this on the long-term trend rather than an individual movie. It's like if anyone else tries this, they will fail.
Oh yeah,
which
they
is why
will.
I'm
Absolutely.
This is going to, if this is massively successful with this stuff, even if the movie's like really fucking good, let's live in this universe where despite these race swaps, the movie's really fucking good and it makes a fuck ton of money. These things are going to be used as an excuse in an industry where maybe they might have finally been feeling some pressure with all this stuff. This is going to give them another fucking 10-year pass to be like, look at this, race swap's fine, blah, blah, blah. And I do think that's an issue.
No, good, because if they do that, then they will continue to fail. Because if this film is a success, it won't be a success because of the race swaps. It'll be a success in spite of those race swaps. And if Hollywood thinks, well, we can get away with it then, and then they try and do it,
they will
fail dramatically.
I can't find the chat. There's somebody here who said Nerdrotic and G&G are paid by the studio to churn this up. No, we do it in our free time. I do it in my free time.
I mean, like,
where's my studio money?
What? So, I have also said that this movie failing would be the single biggest death blow to wokeness. Most of the things that I'm talking about, I am trying to talk about things in a bigger perspective than my own opinion. Everybody knows I'm a fucking Nolan fan. Who gives a fuck what I think on a personal level? Everything I'm talking about is take a step outside of your personal opinion and look at the perspective here and think about the ramifications of what can be happening.
You have to understand why people are coming to this conclusion because all of those signs are there, Jeremy, despite Nolan. But you have to consider Nolan. That is something you can't discount. He is not just some other director. And to go out and say this is things going to flop, especially on the level of Supergirl, is preposterous.
But that's the retardation that I see
I'm
out
wrong,
there.
Great. If I'm wrong about that, roast me.
Flop.
But
it's just not gonna flop.
Well, can we at least define flop then? Like, what if it gets 600 million? Is that a flop? Like,
no.
Where is the line of
for this movie? For this movie, $600 million should absolutely be considered a failure.
Yes,
that is not breaking even, and that is
what is the actual break even? Let's establish that first.
See, that's a gray area. 600 million puts it in that gray area because it's $250 million budget, and there's no way they spent under 200 million for marketing for this.
And what about inflation?
Let's be extremely conservative, right? $250 million budget, and let's say conservatively $125 million marketing. I think that is potential. And also they have saved the press tour till the very, very end for any of this shit when it comes to marketing, which is a marketing expense, all the different travel and stuff they do. That all goes into it. Let's be conservative and say that. You're talking about $375 million wrapped up in this movie. A general break-even point is going to be $750 million at that point. So if it makes 600 million,
if you're saying 750 is a break even, then 600 is obviously a flop. So,
yeah. And obviously something like when we say flop, if it makes 600 million, we're being very like
you're on the line.
The very definition of the term where the movie did not make money at the box office.
Right.
This movie is in Wicked territory because both Wicked movies were a lot of money. They shot them both at the same time, right? But each of those films was meant to do $1 billion a piece. Neither of them did. And I think, and why? Because of the controversy surrounding it. It actually was so detrimental. And then you get to Wicked 2, and the movie wasn't really good at all, and people didn't go see it a second time, so that it really underperformed. I see Odyssey the same way I'm kind of seeing Wicked, because it was designed to make $1 billion to prove a point, to do a whole bunch of other business that's attached to it. And is the controversy going to drag it down? And that's what we're all waiting to find out. I think yes, But I think to Jeremy's credit, I think Nolan fans are going to come out of the woodwork for this one.
There's
Well,
one.
well, no,
If
you
come out
raise
for
it.
this
You,
one-
you raise a good point, because the general word of mouth and buzz, all the lead up to this film, has been on balance, I think, more negative than positive. More negative reaction to the trailers, especially the buzz around
They've
the
shut
race.
down
swaps.
comments
Until
on
recently,
X.
until
yeah.
recently, it was
The
a lot
Telegraph
of
deleted
positivity in the
entire
early-
tweets about Nolan's interview.
Well, all we know is that the box office is tracking to be a bigger opening than Oppenheimer. That's what we know. So
Yeah, this movie
You
could
know,
be big.
Well, it should be.
Could be.
This isn't a biopic. This is like Nolan going back into essentially genre, but with a story that at least most people except Lupita Nyong'o know. And this is the first time it's been adapted by Hollywood's biggest director. So this is the Hollywood epic. You know, it should be tracking higher than
It-
Oppenheimer.
like
Can I
this-
give a controversial take?
Yeah.
Sure, of course.
of course.
I think the film's going to be shit. And I don't mean for like ideological perspective, as in, I'm anti-woke, blah, blah, blah. I think it's going to be really boring. I've seen a bunch of reviews, and they all say the same vapid things. They don't give you any actual context
Well, they
or
can't.
content.
They can't.
Right.
They can't yet. They're under embargo.
No. It's not. No. I'm not saying they don't describe the events of the story. What I'm saying is the language that they use is almost deliberately worded in order to not tell you about anything truly emotional about the story. They'll say, "Oh, it's a huge scale. It's the scope of the thing. This is it's breathtaking." But actually, you would normally hear things like, "This is heart pounding. This is emotionally gripping. This is a roller coaster. This is a harrowing story of survival."
I don't want
something
to
like that,
cut
right?
you off, but like those, not that I believe any of these fucking reviews. There's a lot of them that talk about the heart and the emotion and all of that. I don't believe any of them because they're all paid shills. But those words that you're saying are not in a lot of these are in a lot of these. I've been
Well,
following all of this.
not
I
in
can
the
pull
way
some
that
of
I
them
mean.
up right now. But
No,
the
yeah, no,
point
I
is-
know.
go
I
ahead.
did. I looked at a bunch of them too. They're using very tepid language when they could be using very specific language. And so and the only ones that I've seen that have actually said anything that has been slightly critical is to call it things like clunky, right? And it's like, right, okay. So the actual structure of the story is, I think clunky is probably going to be the best word for it. And so really, I think that this is going to be the sort of thing that a lot of people will go and see, but it's not going to be well loved because it's not going to be a fun watch, I reckon, is what's going to happen.
That's a
I mean,
Nolan
I can-
movie.
Well,
I don't like
Nolan
Nolan
movies.
at all.
That's what they are.
FYI.
well, I was going to say, I don't know if Oppenheimer's a fun watch.
It's not,
Um,
but it's
like-
Well, what I mean by fun, but it's like compelling, right? It's
Yeah, I
something
get you.
that
Yeah,
you
you-
want
I
to
mean-
watch. There are lots of films that aren't fun, but I've
yeah.
watched
I mean,
many times.
yeah, because like
Oppenheimer's pretentious, but it's compelling. Like it
Dunkirk's
moves,
not a
it
fun
keeps
movie.
you locked
and
in.
it's not a good
Yeah, but
movie.
But I'm
Oppenheimer's
getting
not
the
a fun
feeling
movie.
that The Odyssey is not going to be a compelling movie.
Like, it's not going to be fun to the level of Schindler's List. Like that.
No, from what I've seen at the trailers, and this is just my opinion, it looks kind of drab.
Yeah, it looks
No,
sterile.
Aren't-
Yeah.
but-
It
and I
looks
told-
like
I-
a
I
Nolan
told-
movie.
I told you this.
Boring.
I told you this. I know, edgy teenager, quarter black.
No,
so,
it's boring. Dude, his movies used to be awesome, dude. They used to be good. And I'm not gonna
Oppenheimer's
fight
a
on-
3-hour biopic that made $1 billion.
I don't care how much it made. It's boring as
Rated
fuck.
R. Everybody fucking likes
Movie's
it.
boring.
Everybody
I actually
liked
think
it.
that's going to be one of the most
good-
interesting
he's got
parts,
good
though, of just
visuals,
how
like-
much did Barbie help
But-
that movie, or did that
Yeah.
help Barbie?
I mean,
Getting
we
an
already
answer
know
to that
that.
either
Each
way.
other
would be-
a lot.
We already know that. Like
Barbie
I-
definitely had an audience.
I pulled it up the
Yes.
other day. Now again, this is according to AI bullshit, but Nolan's non-franchise movies. So take away Batman, take away Prestige, take away anything that's tied to anything, and they average $735 million worldwide, which is Interstellar, Inception, Oppenheimer, and Tenet.
No, that's not what I looked up.
I can pull up what I had.
$730 million worldwide. Is that adjusted for inflation, Jeremy?
That's original. I did both because I know the inflation bros are always going to ask about that shit. Because and Nolan's argument only becomes stronger when you add inflation to it, which so they don't want to.
Tenet brings it down quite a bit, but to be
Correct.
fair to Tenet, it came out when everybody thought they were going to die of a cold.
Tenet
Yeah.
should kind of be left out of that. Like,
Yeah, but it's
Genuinely.
still part of it. I mean, but if you
Look,
It's
because he was
about
so
5 to
fucking
6.
stubborn, he wanted to release it in theaters despite the fact that no one could go to theaters, that it was only released in like 1,600 theaters in America.
I think that's a strength, the fact that it almost be $400
one of
million.
them.
You know, so
This is
yeah,
each-
so-
So that's
one of those
including
releases.
Dark Knight Rises.
no. But what I'm saying is, you take purely original films that are not tied to a franchise. That's how
So
the
average
check-
per film, 519.75 million.
right. But that's when you bring, but you're bringing in Memento and Following that did shit, Insomnia.
Well, yeah,
Batman
those
Begins.
are his
gotta-
non-Batman
just 'cause they did
movies.
shit.
Like,
I
you know?
understand that, but all of those things are tied to something. What I'm saying is, let me see if I can find.
Yeah, but this is tied to something.
This is tied to Batman right
Yeah.
there. It's you see
No,
it.
no. What I'm saying is, I
means the
get what
Odyssey.
Jeremy's doing.
Okay, gotcha.
The
in
Odyssey
terms of
is tied-
anything that's tied to a pre-existing story that are on original conceptions.
Not
this
an
is what
original
influences it.
story.
However, like the Odyssey
Here, I'm
is
sharing my
tied to
screen.
something.
I understand that. I'm not saying
Yeah.
it isn't. I'm just trying to say that, like, so right here, his original non-franchise films, Inception, Interstellar, Tenet, Oppenheimer, average even stronger at about 724 million worldwide, which is exceptionally
So
high for
leaving
larger.
out-
Oh, just
Yeah.
So
those.
we're cherry picking Inception, Interstellar.
No,
Tenet.
those are
Well,
not tied to any previous
what's the
thing.
point
Is
we're
the
arguing
point?
here?
So
What's the point we're
I
arguing?
don't know.
Insomnia.
We're
Like,
just
what-
arguing.
basically, what Jeremy's
we
trying to
are
say, which is,
arguing.
by the way,
No,
could you put that
hold
up
on.
again? Could you pop that up again?
because
No,
you guys
pop
were
that up
saying
again.
that
Hang on.
you guys
Pop
were
that up
saying
again.
Why are we not
Garrett.
including the other ones?
Garrett,
You guys
pop
were
that
not-
up again.
Let's just give it the most
don't have
beneficial
it.
take
No,
and just
the one
accept
I-
everything as read. It's
Pop that
still
up
that
again,
would be
Jeremy.
break even.
I'm
Jeremy, pop
sharing.
that up
I'm
again.
sharing. I'm sharing.
I
looking
actually
at the
think Jeremy's
sources
right.
here.
I think it is going to make money. I think it's just gonna be
Absolutely.
shit.
No,
Yeah, I don't think anybody-
no one's
I-
debating that.
let's
Said
okay.
that,
Let's make something clear. I don't think anybody here is saying it's going to flop. I don't want to speak for
No.
everybody.
No.
I'm not saying it's going to flop. I didn't say Barbie was going to flop. I said Barbie was going to be a success. I think it was crazy that people thought Barbie was going to fucking flop. But I'm looking at the sources and I'm making sure we don't see the full list. AI draws from Reddit quite.
No,
a bit.
but I was bringing. I asked about his non-Batman box office. Is what I did.
Yeah.
So that's what I was asking because I want to leave the Batman franchise out of it. And so it says right here, before Oppenheimer, his non-Batman average was around 341 million. Oppenheimer alone raised that to nearly 70 million, bringing it to 410. His original non-franchise films, Inception, Interstellar, Tenet, and Oppenheimer, average an even stronger 724 million at the worldwide box
He
office.
makes money at the box office. I don't think anybody questions that
Yeah.
this guy is really known for lower budgets and coming in on time.
Right.
Like that's why they fucking love him. And that's why they gave him whatever the fuck he wants because he deserves it. He's earned it, absolutely earned it. And I think that average is pretty reasonable for the Odyssey. I can see it hitting $1 billion, and I can see it making 600 million. I don't fucking know. I
I mean,
don't
it's
know.
it's in IMAX for 4 straight weeks. Oppenheimer did like 200 million just in IMAX, and that wasn't even advertised for IMAX. They're basically tying everything
you
to
have
IMAX.
to
Yeah.
account for Barbie with Oppenheimer, though. You absolutely
do.
have to. Like,
I mean, I
that-
think the first
It's tough because we don't know how much one helped one, how much the other helped the other.
Right.
We really don't know, and it's tough to get into it. We can look at Chris Nolan's history all we want. The reality is that we have never, ever seen a Christopher Nolan movie that had this much backlash before it came out,
100%.
ever in history.
Yes.
But this is not Snow fucking White. This
No, it's
is not the Marvels. This is a different fucking animal, and I don't think any of us really have a good idea to predict what's about to happen. So we'll see next week what it does opening weekend. Second weekend, I know you can get a lot of tickets to regular screenings. I don't think the second weekend drop, even if a lot of people say it's bad, will be as bad as we think, because a lot of Nolan fans are buying IMAX tickets second weekend instead of seeing it regular screen opening weekend.
yeah, I don't see a 70% drop. That'd be crazy.
It's sold out in Greece opening weekend for IMAX, but they hate it. So we'll see how that goes. But look, if it fails, whose fault is it? It's Christopher
Yours.
Nolan's fault. It's Christopher Nolan's fault. 100%. Just like I said in the interview with Lupita Nyong'o when she said all that dumb shit, I was like, I don't even blame her. I blame Nolan because he hired the dumb bitch. You know,
Well, and Nolan now
you know, in that
is like
position.
coming out and
So-
because you would think that you'd be look. I understand why people may be confused. They may be concerned about it, but I just hope they go and see the movie and it's all like now he's like I don't care about him. Like they haven't seen the movie yet. They'll all change their minds. He has a rather dismissive attitude, which I think comes from not being online as much. He just sees it as like an irrelevant place that doesn't really matter to him. But he is making mistakes himself in interviews at the moment.
As you pointed out in your video, Disbrew, because I watch your videos, they've had to come out and like steer people to regular theaters because there's so much been put into 70 millimeter and premium format. They're like, oh, but you can also enjoy it in regular theaters too.
That's a good point. The marketing has not been very clear about it. It's almost like they've been just like IMAX or die. You know,
There's been several articles saying that
It's
people are
shot on IMAX.
confused.
You're gonna watch it in IMAX.
There's been several articles about people that think they will only watch like half the movie or an inferior version of the movie.
Yeah.
And that's not good.
That's not good
Like,
marketing. that is actually a really good point,
But
because
the
that's for
tickets
the
are-
normies. That's how that's been playing for them, I'm sure.
The tickets are fairly easy to get, really easy to get in regular theaters. There's plenty of seats available. Now, if you go over to the movie that's coming out the following week, it's getting tougher. It's getting tougher. And that's gonna, which is hilarious because Sony basically accommodated Nolan by letting Tom Holland work on the movie, and they delayed the schedule of their shooting for a little while, and then dropped their movie the next fucking week. With
Deal with
that has
Spider-Man.
Zendaya,
2 weeks, 2
John
weeks.
Bernthal, and Tom Holland.
That's
So we're going to be seeing a
hilarious,
lot of them over the next 2 weeks.
Dude,
But,
it feels like Spider-Man is like this giant tidal wave that's just gonna crush everything in its path. It's crazy how many tickets are sold out everywhere that I looked. It's unbelievable. So this easily over 200 million. But hey, superhero fatigue, guys. Superhero fatigue.
everybody's going to say that. And
Nobody has
nobody's gonna show
Spider-Man
up.
fatigue, though.
Okay, to ruin the argument, it's bad movie fatigue. That's always
Yes.
the answer. But the problem is, there's been so many bad superhero movies. This is what superhero fatigue means now. You can make Spider-Man, Batman movies all fucking day long. Can't make Superman movies. Can't make Supergirl movies. Can't make Daredevil movies. So any B character is fucking done.
To be fair, Gary, if James Gunn was making Spider-Man, it flopped too. So I mean, you know,
If James Gunn was making the Odyssey, it'd flop. If James Gunn was working with Chris Nolan, he'd give Chris Nolan his first flop.
dude, somebody, was it yesterday or a couple days ago on Daily? I think it was Beardo pulled up a picture of like when he wished David Cornsweat happy birthday, but he posted a picture of him with David Cornsweat. Like, it's got always get about James fucking Gunn. He's got to be in every fucking picture. And I think Steph was pulling up like when Snyder would post pictures of Henry Cavill, it was like Henry Cavill is Superman.
Yeah.
But when James Gunn posted, it's got to be I've got to be with the guy in the picture. What a
If James
douchebag.
Gunn did the Odyssey, he'd cast his wife as Penelope, and she'd get fucked by every suitor there.
accurate.
Well, you know, I think the worst / best case scenario is the Odyssey is kind of mid. It's got a little bit of the woke elements in it, and the arguments will be fucking epic. It'll be great. As I said,
I think your main
yesterday-
problem will be that it destroys heroism, which is one of the issues with superhero fatigue, is that Spider-Man is a hero. Then the trailer makes him look heroic.
One
It
thing
starts
they
with a
have
line.
repeated, Disbrew, multiple times from actors is this removes the glorification of war, right? And
Recontextualizes.
it recontextualizes the hero, basically.
Yes, because she starts her translation with he is a complicated man, which means he is grey, whereas everything else is like there are many facets to him. So sometimes he might be required to be violent, but it's still good in those situations for him to be violent. Whereas compared to Spider-Man, it starts with, oh my god, my powers are going wrong. I have to immediately solve this because it's hurting people.
Odyssey starts out with, this would begin to make things right. I'll fucking walk out. I'm like, nope, Force Awakens all over again.
I'm out.
So what's it projected at? Last time I saw was between 180 million domestically, 220, 230 worldwide.
You mean
Odyssey.
80 to
Odyssey,
100
yeah,
million
80 to 100.
80 to
Yeah.
100, sorry.
Yeah, not
80 to
180.
I've
Yeah.
seen 80 to 100. I've
That's
also
Spider-Man.
seen
100 to
long
120.
range. I think I saw a long range a couple days ago that had somebody else pegging it from 100 to 120.
Pegging it.
Oppenheimer was what, 82 to start?
Yeah. So I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's
I'm
saying
guessing about
that.
right at 100, maybe 90 to 100 is what I'm guessing opening weekend
And
based
then
on the
Box Office Pro,
projections.
100 million to 120
And
Yeah.
there's nothing after Spider-Man.
domestic.
So those
No.
two movies can just
No.
run.
But I really
throughout
think Nolan's in trouble. I think Moana live action is probably going to take all the thunder. I think he's done.
That's right.
So,
It's a Maui summer.
Yeah, but I do think, like we saw for Oppenheimer, I think similar to like Avatar movies, it's really the only other thing you can compare it to, where people will forego going opening weekend at a regular screening to watch it on a premium format screen the second weekend. I would expect to see that with the Odyssey.
And the
as
word of
well.
mouth is going to be important. I mean, it really is.
Always is.
You know, so we shall see what happens. But it will
I'm
be...
already fucking sick and tired of talking about this shit.
I'm not.
I'm
I'm
sick
just
of
getting
covering
started.
it, but I am sick of group discussions on it. I'm already fucking...
Well, welcome to a group discussion on a Friday show, Ryan.
I know.
Thanks.
You don't think I had to fucking listen to Jeremy fucking like 4 straight hours yapping about the Odyssey back and forth?
Is that
DC?
my problem?
Dude, not only that, we argued over Man of Steel on that
problem
fucking
now.
drive. We argued over Man of Steel and BVS on that drive too, because why not?
Jeremy talks about the same 5 things over and over again. So yes, of course, we talked about the
I
same
didn't bring
thing.
Trump up on the drive.
Even Tebow.
I didn't bring Trump up though. Could have.
Brought up Tebow?
True.
Yeah. Yeah, they
We
screwed
passed
Tebow
through
over.
Jacksonville. That started a Tim Tebow.
Tim
conversation.
Tebow was screwed over for being a Christian. They kicked him out of the NFL because he was Christian and he was praying, and too many people were copying him. And
He was out of the NFL because his fucking delivery looked like a fucking 80-year-old woman's.
Now, all he needed to do was beat the shit out of a couple of women and get some drug charges, and they would have been like, "We need this guy in the NFL." But he prays.
Hold on,
But
and
he
be
prays.
good. There's plenty of dudes in the NFL who have beat the shit out of women and done drugs, and they suck and they get cut and it's over. The good ones you keep around.
Sports ball. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm looking at a
Watch
quote.
cricket
I'm going to
and
read
shit.
this real quick before we play this from Nolan that Metatron is pissed about.
Nolan.
So Nolan said, Nolan! We were very specific looking for analog textures. Everything in this film was handmade. We used every trick in the book for this movie, some old and new. So he's trying to ground this
So
in
why does
reality.
it look like shit?
Yeah.
Everything about it looks like shit. Why?
That quote was in reference to not using CGI, though. So it was like, no, we just did
That's
everything.
great.
It's like, yeah, but just because you do everything realistic doesn't actually mean that people like it.
Any appeal to like this film is going to be good because we're trying to be so realistic dies when you look at all the other unrealistic or historical
That's the
changes
point.
they put into it. It's like, piss off. Don't try to appeal to me there when I can see full plate armor in the classical period. Like, no, get
This
out of here.
authentic experience that we're going to get that's totally not authentic.
But like
All right.
getting around the historical authenticity of it, which fair enough, it's Hollywood, right? I actually don't have very high expectations for like historical adaptations. But like Shad, you must have seen the picture where they're walking through what looks like the English countryside, wearing leather armor, whatever that's supposed to fucking be. And it's like, okay, if it looked good, then okay, but it didn't. It looked like shit.
Yeah,
Total
it just
shit.
looks
That's
like
not
crap.
realistic.
It's not even
Amateur
cool
hour. It's
fantasy
not-
armor. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's
exactly. Like think of the sort of like 2004 Troy or whatever it is, right? All of those guys looked like they had real armor. I mean, it wasn't period appropriate or anything, but like, who cares? You know, it looked good on the screen. But this looks terrible, and it's like, why would you do this?
Yeah, like there is like 99% of people when they're watching a movie like this, they're gonna prefer the cool factor over the historical accurate in terms of what
100%.
they're wearing. And I think to some extent it's kind of all right to take the cool factor instead of that because almost no one can understand it. And like for me, if I'm watching, do I know if this was created in 1500 BC or 700 BC? No. It should be a red flag for anything, but sometimes you can make decisions like that stylistically that I can understand. It's not the same as somebody having a cell phone there because every single person can look and see, oh, we know they shouldn't be having cell phones in this story. So that completely throws you out. Whereas most people just look, oh, that's old style armor. But if it is not period appropriate and it also looks retarded, then you have multiple problems.
But
I'd
that's the
rather
point,
have a TikTok moment in this fucking movie than Lupita Nyong'o, to be fair. You know,
Yeah,
just
but
get
it's-
somebody doing a TikTok short.
It's not even about that. Like the picture of them like walking through the woods where he's wearing like armor that looks like it has been factory made, machine made, with like these weird chevrons on it. And it's just like, yeah, that one. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at the guy on the left, right? He's got the weird chevrons on his armor. It's like, why? Like,
what is
why?
this?
Well, you
can't even
can't
tell what period
We're
this
going
is.
Elm
armor.
Yeah, it does look like paintball armor.
What are they thinking? And you know what annoys me, because as a bit of a purist on the historical accuracy side, there is a middle ground that wouldn't be hard to achieve, where they don't need to go full fantasy, but they can grab some stuff that is inspired by history that looks really cool and just focus on that. They didn't need to go all the way, but throw in some muscle cuirasses in here or something like. This just looks
This
like
isn't even
arse.
that.
G
This looks
Prime's
like modern
comment is
Kevlar
amazing.
armor.
I know exactly. Like he looks like it could be like from the modern day. It's retarded.
This looks like it could be a fucking YouTube video
Yeah.
of some LARPers. Like,
Let me
and it's-
tell you
oh,
Is that a ball cap?
Let me tell you something, son. Get in my cyber truck. We're gonna go elk hunting. That's the scene right there.
and yeah, exactly. And it's just like, but there's no need to make it ugly, right? There's no need to make it ugly. It could have been really fancy. It could have been really creative, and it just wasn't. So it's like, okay, I think this is gonna be shit.
Bro, so tell me about this guy. I thought this was the dude that
Chris
interviewed Michael
Guru
Jackson
Murphy.
all those years ago,
Oh,
but it's not. It's
Robert
not
Downey
him.
Jr. It's
Rob-
the one that caused the. Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr.
Exactly.
walked out. Yeah.
Yes, this guy's such a piece of shit, but he looks just
Yeah.
like the guy that interviewed Michael Jackson all those years ago, and
just
it's not
lying.
him apparently. It's almost like they all look the same, but anyway.
Yeah, so people who look like this are pieces of shit. Is that what you're saying there?
That's what he's saying.
If it helps, this guy is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
That does help, actually.
The language as well is very modern. It's a very contemporary, easy to access
Oh, thank God.
way of speaking. I mean, you say dad rather than father.
Sure.
I mean, what's the thinking behind that?
Because I wouldn't have even said father back in the day, would I? I would have been Greek, so it's no less.
No, it's people bring, when you look at this world, when you look at the ancient world, people tend to view it in weird ways. There's a lot of cultural prejudice. There's a lot of, they're sort of elevating it because it's old, whatever it is.
Cultural
when you
prejudice.
go to the poem, what you find is something that's really earthy and grounded and accessible. And so for me, in building the world of the film, what I talk to all the actors about is like, I want to center it on that and make it feel very fresh for modern audiences. And do away with assumptions that aren't based on anything logical. They're just, and do away with some of those assumptions that aren't based on anything logical. They're just, as I say, cultural prejudice.
So
So things are.
He's saying it's cultural prejudice, modern audiences. If anybody else was saying this shit, we'd be what the fuck? And I'm
Roasting the
saying it
fuck out of
now.
him.
So I believe the use of father, daddy over father is a diminishment to father.
I
That-
agree.
that's
What
just
about this? What about
bullshit
this,
that
right?
we're trying to
What
like make
yeah.
it more
He's
accessible.
talking about, he wants it to make it accessible and all this stuff. Why isn't it shot on an iPhone? Why isn't it shot on a camcorder? Because you want it to be cinematic, right? Because you have a level of cinema that you want to present.
Christopher Nolan
a
knows why they
highly-
use father and they use British accents and
Yes.
historical stuff when it's not British people is because
So this
for
makes
the
no sense.
American audience, it makes it seem more sophisticated, a little and not accessible to America. Okay, so that's why they've always done that.
Well, it
right?
makes it sound deliberately not modern.
and cohesive.
Right.
Exactly.
That's the
This
point.
is an ancient tale, and you can use language that sounds more antiquated to make it feel like this is something in the past.
And do people
Yeah.
not
Say,
call people
"Oh."
their dad's father? Like you might say father. Like what?
Everything about this answer was bad, and the
Bullshit.
decision's bad too to have these types of accents for sure. So this was a terrible answer. He walked right into it, and he handed everybody ammunition right there. Awful answer. from
What did
Nolan.
drunk
Also,
Fipio,
just
tweet
a quick
earlier?
thing on the Greek thing, right? The Greek does have words for father. I think it's actually pater or something like that, and daddy, like papa, right? It actually has the sort of respectful and diminutive nouns for it. So it's such a bad answer on every level.
Yeah, awful answer. Like there's just zero defense of that.
Drunk 3PO tweeted earlier, "No, I am your daddy."
But it's accessible.
Which totally changes. It's like, no, I am your daddy.
Also, even the idea that it's accessible. I mean, this is a poem which has been. The fact it has multiple adaptations that people argue over prove it's not really that accessible in the first place. It has loads of different interpretations. And the fact that, oh, I want to do a modern thing for modern audiences. Are you telling me that daddy hasn't changed its definition in modern terms? Doesn't actually have a entirely different connotation than what it would then as well.
Accessible is not a
True.
virtue. It's not a good thing. Things should have some kind of difficulty to get
Gamers
to
know the term
understand.
accessibility is not something we want to hear. Get the
Like,
fuck out of here.
I
with
hope
that
there's
that
some
shit
white
outta
dots
here.
in the Odyssey. There needs to be white dots.
It's a bit like the difference between Star Trek and Starfleet Academy. Starfleet Academy used modern day language, and it completely ruined everything. Whereas Star Trek
Breaks the
was still
immersion.
modern day, but it deliberately left out essentially modern slang, and that did change everything. It made it seem like a timeless quality. And if you want to go full fantasy, you have things like the first Spartacus, which basically made up its own linguistic structure, but still separated it and made it more accessible, so you felt like you were watching something old and like it fit, even though it was just wrong.
Just wrong. I'm checking on something.
The time there's a lot of stylistically, aesthetically. People tend to look back to the Romantic era and art. A lot of paintings where people aren't wearing very much, got a little bed sheet wrapped around them or whatever it is. A lot of classical architecture, even though that wasn't the architecture of the Mycenaean period and things like that. So, we went back to what's in the archaeology. What does that tell us, and what gaps does that?
What?
What is this?
No,
Bro,
you
we watched
didn't.
the trailer. You didn't go to the fucking
Really,
archaeology.
you did not. I mean,
What
come
are you
on.
talking about?
I hope they found the Cyclops in the.
Well, also, I'm not sure that playing into cultural prejudice is a bad thing in the first place, because if you have an idea of what ancient Greek looks like, even if it's not correct, showing you that on the screen will make you more immersed than some weird thing that you don't know, even if it's correct. And so it kind of depends what you're going for. If you want people to be involved in your movie, I think you probably should give them what they're expecting. rather than some strange thing that just happens to be more realistic.
Can I point out that wouldn't it be culturally prejudiced to not put any Greeks or any Greek passing people and outside of John Bernthal in this movie? I mean, I don't know.
I don't understand though. We went back to the fucking archaeology and then,
and found Lupita Nyong'o.
Yeah, we had some black guys.
Look at the armor. Look at the costumes. Look at everything. It's
Literally
like
did
archaeologically accurate.
Did you go back
guys.
to see what you didn't want to do? Like, what was that answer?
What do we know about Homer's time? How were things portrayed in the earliest possible portrayals of that? And
what did the armor
looking at
look
how do you
like?
create a consistent and accessible world around that feels vital and credible and exciting to be in?
You know what, right? You know, that's such a horseshit answer, right? Because we actually know loads about the world that Homer is talking about. There's tens of thousands of tablets that have all been fired when the cities that they were being sacked have burned down. That are literally extensive records of really boring shit from these civilizations. Like we know what they were like. We've got really, really good understanding of like the trade routes. That we've got the earliest diplomatic messages. We've got you've got the Armana letters, which are literally a fucking cache, a massive fucking cache of letters to the Pharaoh of Egypt during the period where the Sea People invasions are happening, when Troy is being sacked. During that express period, we know loads about the Hittite Empire and their contact with Troy itself as a political power of the time. Like, it's such horseshit. Like, to be like, oh yeah, so we were just trying to essentially guess at complete bollocks. And it's really annoying. I've been watching a historian called Tom Holland, like, glazing this film. He's like, oh no, it's really good. It's really good. It's like, look, man, from the trailer alone, I know you must be screaming inside. You know, but he's a shit lib, so he's oh yeah, no, it's great. I was invited to the premiere. Fuck yourself.
The irony of that guy's name being Tom
I know.
Holland is
And the fact that
wild.
and the fact that all Elon Musk said is Tom Holland is such a cuck. And now, like, it's not a real Tom Holland. And that's all he said. Elon was like, Tom Holland is such a cuck. And I'm like, dude, that's going to be screenshot and used for so many things now.
Do you know
Look
what's
at
so
Elon.
annoying? Just one more thing, right? Like, the ancient world was garishly colorful. Like, really
Yes,
fucking
very much
colorful.
so.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Everyone loved color because actually that took a lot of work to put together, right? Like, for example, blue was actually a really rare color, right? Essentially, if you wanted blue stone, you had to have lapis lazuli. And if you wanted blue dyes, you had to get it from really dangerous clams, shellfish that people would dive down for. These are poisonous shellfish. You'd have to collect them, hopefully not die doing it, and then squeeze tiny amounts of like blue and purple dye out of their fucking poison glands. And so it was like really, really rich people, deep red or blue or purple robes, and the peasants, of course, didn't. So it's like, you know, like watching them just standing there and they're like green or brown clothes. It's like, no fucking way would they dress like that. Just no way.
This is Tom Holland.
Yeah, I
Facts,
literally just pulled that up. But if you have it, that's fine. Where Elon responds to him. I don't know if you have that. I've got it pulled up.
No, that was a different one. This is, if you click left on a podcast that he co-hosts, he has a paid sponsorship from the Odyssey. And then on his personal account, he's posting about how it's amazing. Now, I'm just saying there seems to be a bit of a conflict of interest there that may not make you entirely objective.
Share
No.
my screen real quick. Right
And
here.
it's rare that we see that's
Elon,
paid
Elon just
sponsorship.
responds with this to his review. It just says Tom Holland is such a cunt. No context or anything. Oh man, that's
Somebody's
funny
gonna
as
respond
shit.
with the picture of Zendaya getting like macked on by those two dudes.
Shit. Fucking Elon.
Oh, they should have.
18 million views.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, on that tweet. Hello.
God dang.
To be fair, he did ratio Elon on his response, but it's still funny as hell. So
I'm debating on which video to go to next.
What would it do?
This is so many.
Let's do Campia.
Oh,
Fuck it.
yeah, let's do Campia.
this is such a disingenuous video from him. It drives me crazy. because
I'm at
the
the
whole
14-minute
point is
mark.
he's trying to defend against all of the anger for the Odyssey. Okay. The problem is everything he's saying is completely disingenuous. He is completely leaving shit out, and he's trying to build a false narrative about it. Fuck him.
He's also talking like an NPC. All of these points from about 7 years ago that people have already reported, but he's like, no, I've just found them on the internet. Trust me.
Yep.
Well, and he also comes at it with that campiest style of movies are made with directors and producers, and they shoot it on digital or film sometimes, and the actors recite their. He says the most basic
No fucking
shit.
shit.
Like he's just like, I am the first one to break this down for everybody.
Execution from the equation. They have made a very simple, incredibly narrow calculation in their minds. Lupita Nyong'o is black, therefore the
Hey,
Odyssey
I
is a
can't disagree
terrible
with
movie.
this.
That is the
Will you,
entire
John?
equation for them.
Go back.
Her skin color is the
John, we agree, John. John,
Oh,
put that MAGA hat on, baby. Let's go. There we go.
He's completely missing the point with the people's complaints around that. It's like people. I hate this argument. Oh, it's a fictional story. It's like this is based
We'll
off
get
of
there.
old tradition.
We'll get there. We're building
All
up
right.
to it.
beginning, middle, and end of their critique. By condemning the film before seeing how her talent serves the story, they are
line.
openly admitting that her performance does not matter to them. The only
Right,
thing they are
doesn't-
concerned
Correct.
with
It's not accurate.
I do see his eyes moving with
Yeah.
the teleprompter
Yes.
that he's reading right now
Oh,
because this is going to be such a delicate thing for him to equate. She's black, so you hate it. You needed to fucking script this entire thing out. What a fucking soy-filled, big titty bitch you are, John.
It's also a-
I see you wearing those fucking loose sweatshirts because you're big old man titties. We see it. We see it, John.
It's also a
Fucking
massive
piece of
straw man of people's objections. This is a
Yeah.
red flag, right?
Yes.
And it leads to so much more nuanced criticism that is completely just ignoring saying, you guys are racist. So basically, that's what it's
Yes.
trying to render this down to. It's
Yes.
like all of your arguments, all your problems, no, you just see black person and you dislike it because of that. And that's not what people are saying. But
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
what
I
it
don't
wants to
like her
try
because she's ugly as well, bro.
I was gonna say, like, maybe you could like put that on me, not on everybody who's saying things about the Odyssey, though. And,
She's
color
not
of her
good looking, for fuck's sake.
and I,
skin, exposing the fact
I was just gonna say that is a massive red flag or black flag, shall we say. But it's not simply just about a black person in the role. It's about what that means, what that represents, and the other changes that in all likelihood will be made because we've seen this over and over and over again. Now, I do like the simplicity of it. Lupita black movie bad, just like John Campia gay, this video bad. I think we can start simplifying things like that. I'm down.
Yeah, the issue I have here is that he's trying to break down all of these points and give all of these details, but he completely leaves out that the Academy has put a mandate out that if you don't cast more diversity in your movies, we're not going to acknowledge you. The Hollywood has put a mandate out about that, which is why so many people are rejecting this shit. It's not because people are just like blindly against diversity. It's because they're against forced diversity for agenda-driven nonsense. That is why so many people are negative again. He leaves all of that context out. That means it's completely disingenuous, and he's lying to his entire audience. So,
but this backlash
genuinely
isn't about
is fine. It's fine to be like, yeah, I'm against this character being black. I mean, literally, like, if I put out my biopic of Martin Luther King with Ryan Gosling, he's gonna be like, well, I'm against this because he's white. But he's doing a great performance. No, but he's white and it doesn't make sense. And so
but the thing, and I agree, I agree with you, but it's like it's the reason why when Batman '89 came out, there was not some big uprising because Harvey Dent was black, because there was not this agenda-driven nonsense around it. The reason that it gets so much backlash now is because we're so tired of seeing it forced into every single aspect, and there's these agendas that the Academy and Hollywood and the actors and the directors and interviews are talking about how important all this shit is, and it's just gotten to a point where people are just fed up with it. So
yeah,
he's also acting
on the merits, though. It's perfectly valid to say that a character is bad, an actor is bad, because of the
Agreed.
intrinsic properties that they have.
Yeah.
It's a perfectly valid argument. Like, you know, if Batman was being played by a disabled person in a fucking wheelchair, I would say yes, that's bad because this person is disabled. Not that it's bad because to be disabled. I mean, it probably is, obviously, but like they're not a bad person or anything. But it just makes it inappropriate casting.
If Helena Troy was cast as a 300-pound Landwell, we'd have the same problem.
Yes.
Yeah, but he's asking as if you need to defend the status quo. No, that you have to give a reason why you think it's worth changing. Hollywood has a problem with the most beautiful woman in the world being blonde-haired and blue-eyed. That's why she had to be changed. But you have to defend why you're doing that. You have to give the reason why you wanted it changed. I don't need to defend why I just want it the same it's always been.
Yes.
Yeah.
Disprove it's because racism.
Well,
My argument's
Well,
always
if they said, "Look, I changed it because I'm a racist," at least that would be a reason.
my argument's always been that if you really want to be, representative of the real world, put 300-pound Shaniqua in the movie, let her have 6 or 7 fucking kids, and let her cuss everybody out and beat the shit out of her kids. That's your representation for the black woman, okay? So, but they want to present this, false bullshit, and everybody knows they see right through it. So.
She actually wanted to go. She wanted to go to Troy because they had a better food stamp program. That's the reason.
Well, apparently Greece has H-1B visas, so that's good. Yeah, like Disbruce said, he has to defend his position, which he doesn't. It's just you should accept it, and I don't have to accept it. I really don't, and I don't have to be quiet about it.
Plus, your framing is wrong.
They make these decisions to make it critic proof. I mean, we've been saying that for years, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Artistic integrity at all. So let me take a second and address some of the objections some of these folks might raise. Of course, the people leading this backlash don't want to admit that their objections are rooted in prejudice, so they construct elaborate excuses.
Let me build a straw man. Let me build a straw man for somebody to destroy it.
That was him just. That was him just saying, "Look, they're all racist, but they can't admit it." So that was the.
Is it possible to prejudge something that's been around for 2,800 years?
To justify their.
Also, we're judging it off of the trailer and everything that anybody that's been involved.
You're supposed to judge it off of.
So that's what we're judging it off of.
Anger. Let's address the two most common arguments they throw out at a project like this. The first defense mechanism is almost always the Black Panther argument. It's
which is accurate. Sargon, you said Martin Luther King if he was white. He's talking to you.
Yeah, and I agree with him myself.
Standard internet talking point that people think is a massive checkmate. They'll say something like, "Oh yeah? Well, how would you like it if they cast a white actor to play Black Panther? You'd be furious." It's the exact same thing.
Because it is.
Except it isn't the same thing at all.
It actually
this
is.
argument
I'd like to hear his
literally
explanation.
is the same thing.
Please argue why this is okay.
Oh, I can't wait to
completely
hear
fundamentally misunderstands how narrative and character development work in storytelling.
Okay.
In fiction,
Whoa.
95%.
What does the casting of a character that's supposed to look like what they're supposed to look like in the adaptation have to do with narrative and character development? You've already lost the character development by miscasting the person.
Yeah, it's not the character.
Bro, because black people are victims, so you can't just replace them with a white person, because if you're black, that is the most essential lived experience that you've ever had, so you could never replace them with a white person, because every black person in fictional history that you could adapt, them being black is in their view, it means that is like a core part of who they are.
You know who's never been around
same treatment somehow.
You know who's never been around black people in his fucking life? John Campea.
Actually,
no wonder he's so happy.
We know what he thinks about them. We've seen a few clips before.
Transformers 2.
Well, not even
Gary,
that
Gary,
one.
you
Not
bring up your
even that
video
one. So-
about the complaints about the lighter-skinned black guy that was cast to go play Black Panther, and Black Twitter lost their shit.
Yeah.
Now,
So it absolutely does matter.
It does matter a lot.
But also, it matters that she's white because they believe in things like white privilege. Like Helen of Troy is meant to be the most beautiful woman in the world. Right? It's because she's blonde-haired and blue-eyed. Because back in the day, just like now, actually, those were very, very highly prized characteristics. If she doesn't have that, and she's not the most beautiful woman in the world, why the fuck are we launching all these ships?
I'm
she's
sharing.
black.
I'm sharing my screen. Gary, I don't know if you know what the joke is now, but you and Mahler tried to save you from it. Okay, but this was what you guys walked into.
I mispronounced it.
Hi-
I would save
well,
my ass.
Here we go. Here's John, defender of black people. Here we go.
All right, Smelly Negro. I love that name. Which hockey movie chant "I swallow knickers come"? No idea.
Whoa, John. Whoa.
As funny as that is, that could happen to anybody, including Gary. But
yeah. All right.
The Transformers video.
Oh yeah,
that one is all John Campea.
Yeah.
Find the Transformers video.
Look, we've all been in that spot where we were like, we read a word, we're like, I love that. You know, he's like, I love that name. Oh no.
Of characters do not have their core narratives, motivations, or personal identities directly tied to their specific ethnicity.
Yes, they
A
do.
writer might
What the hell is he saying? So he's trying to say a character is solely defined by, say, what they say and what they do, not what they look like. And it's like, no. What they look like actually has a very important element to the characterization. A character's appearance informs so much and what people will perceive and bring to the the interpretation.
And that would have mattered a lot in the context of this story.
Yes,
knowing
exactly.
where Helen is from.
It kind of like is really important because it started a war. Specifically.
That's just like making a movie about the Zulu and casting a bunch of white people as Zulus. I mean, it's very much relevant.
Just stick it with the Odyssey. I mean, again, like this would matter in the context of the story.
What's really interesting about what he's saying here, he has just
Yeah.
tried to say that these people don't understand, they fundamentally misunderstand a core thing about characterization and story, and then his answer reveals that he has a fundamental misunderstanding of character and story by trying to say that their appearance doesn't have an important aspect to their character. You retard!
It's not even just that. Like, you are a product of your culture. That makes you what you believe. Emily Wilson is a product of modern day culture, which is why she decided to change this in the first place. If it wasn't Greek, they wouldn't have imposed it with the same values they did now.
No, of course not. Because that is a replaceable culture because it's coded white. And Robert Meyer Burnett's the most patient man in the world because he has to co-host a show with this guy who knows shit about shit. And you could see Robert sometimes go, at some of his takes, particularly that physical media one he just had, which I know how Robert feels about physical media, which was fucking funny to watch. But let's continue.
Yeah, so look, I think we got to get back to basics. I think we got to get the real John Campea back, okay? Somewhere along the way, he got lost in the wilderness. We need to bring this man back because 15 years ago, whenever this was how John Campea felt about representation in movies.
And the twins did that. They are the new Jar Jar Binks. They are the most stereotypically racist characters I've seen on screen in a long time. You know, I was trying to explain the twins to somebody, and basically it's this. The twins are two hood niggas that talk ridiculous jive, are illiterate, and I'm not making that up. They actually reveal that in the movie.
Helena Troy is hood
niggas. They talk like this, and they have buck teeth, and one of them even has a big buck gold tooth, and stuff like that. Wow! John!
Oh, wait,
this is a
you're
classic.
telling me,
So good.
hold on, John. You're telling me that they were illiterate? They didn't speak English very well. They had big old buck teeth, golden teeth, and you saw a black person?
Yeah. You just
Let's go,
assume
John
that?
Campea! Yeah!
But you know, what this shows, like, what is John
my
doing here?
God.
He's playing defense for a film, and what is he doing now? He's playing defense for a film and is reaching for whatever thing that can justify it because this guy is a shill. All right,
that
that's
was
basically
funny.
what it's coming down to.
I hunted. I hunted.
Oh, wait.
Oh, yeah.
I hunted, Rob. I hunted for Tobey Maguire's dick.
He did. I wonder if you ever found that.
He did find
I
it.
think this guy needs a hobby.
Hey, credit where credit's due,
Seriously.
because this Transformers 2 review is still on YouTube, unedited. All right, so credit where credit's due. You know,
Listen. I also got to credit the guy for backing up RMB when everybody piled on during the riots. And,
dude, I've been watching
yeah.
John Campea for a long time. He hates my guts, but I've been watching him for a long time. So he has some horrific takes.
Character's physical appearance a
Pretty
certain
sure
way.
we turned off Geeks and Gamers Daily to watch John Campea's show, and we were like walking up to DC, and I'm like, "What are we doing? Can we just turn this entire thing off? Can we just shut it down?"
Can we go back 5 seconds to get the context of what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Because this is stupid.
Specific ethnicity. A writer might describe a character's physical appearance a certain way in a book or a myth, but that description rarely serves an important load-bearing pillar of who that character is, what drives them, or how the
Load bearing is the giveaway of ChatGPT usage right now. Load bearing is like a keyword in all of the new AIs. That's a giveaway. You didn't know. Ooh, that's bad.
And also, you could make this argument in theory about a lot of different race swaps if you want. In this case, the physical appearance is so extraordinarily important to the entire basis of this person as a character. Like, it is the exact wrong person to make this argument about when we're talking about Helen of Troy.
I mean, because there are some characters that, are lesser characters and they're not that important to the overall plot. But if you have a core, like main character, right, their appearance is very important. Are they attractive or are they unattractive? What is their background? Okay, that informs so much. The fact that he is trying to just use bullcrap kind of gobbledygook, pseudo-intellectual language to justify something so retarded.
Well, it's ChatGPT.
The AI did it. Yeah.
The AI is like, it's like, are you paying attention? And it's really interesting because another aspect of this is him basically trying to say that so everything is interchangeable. Your appearance is interchangeable.
It doesn't matter.
Your gender is interchangeable.
It doesn't matter, Shad.
Exactly.
That's the argument. Is it doesn't matter. So if it doesn't matter, why change it?
Hey, I'm sharing my screen. This right here symbolizes your argument, John. Everybody's reaction. Jerry is Helen.
Now this is a great meme, right? This is a great meme because it hits on the most important of points, which is verisimilitude, right? If you want me to be someone who can suspend my disbelief and engage with your artistic endeavor, and you make it fucking ridiculous, like this meme is saying, then obviously suddenly I don't feel like I'm invested in your world. And so you can come out with all the hoity-toity, high-minded, but it's actually not relevant in this character. I don't give a shit. I'm taken out of your fucking movie now. I think, what is this bullshit? I don't want to watch it if Helen of Troy is A, not from Troy, and B, ugly as sin. I'm sorry, I
She's
just
supposed
not
to
interested.
be Spartan. She's from
a Spartan.
Sparta.
Correct.
Like it is specifically, she is from Sparta. She was stolen from there. Is very like a big kind of point of the war.
Yes, massive plot point.
I mean, Menelaus
all
is
the
literally the king of Sparta.
John.
Like, all the arguments are done as if Hollywood is in the authoritative position that you have to defend yourself against. And it's like, no, if you want my money, you have to please me. There shouldn't be a single person on Earth that would be able to doubt that Helen of Troy, whoever you cast, is a 10. And there are people on Earth that would be that hot. There should be none of this, she's a mid. No, everyone. And
If
the Hollywood of the
Sidney Sweeney was
90s would have
cast as
done...
Helen of Troy, everyone would get it. Everyone would just be like, fair.
From the neck down.
Yeah.
plot itself functions. However, there are a few very distinct exceptions where a character's ethnicity is a core, inseparable part of their story, their motivations, and the entire narrative structure. Black Panther is the
He brings up Black Panther.
Wow.
So they always bring up Black Panther, but it's kind
he's
of
doing it
important.
too.
So he just undercut his own fucking argument.
Yes,
he did.
But what he's trying to say is that
always bring
Black
up Black
Panther is the exception, not the norm. Well, no, most
I
primary
understand
characters.
that that's what
they're-
ChatGPT is trying to say.
Yeah.
If
Like,
anything, though,
most
this would be
characters'
more
ethnic
believable if you
background.
race swapped it, because then at least you'd be able to explain where they got the technology from.
But the thing is trying to say this is an exception, not the standard, when it's the reverse. No, this is the standard, John. Most primary characters, unless they're
Example of-
tiny minority characters, most primary characters, yes, their ethnic background and how they look are a core part of that character. Trying to say it's nothing and it's just how what they say and what they do is retarded. But it's a disingenuous argument, and that's what it all comes down to: is making a straw
wait.
man to try and ignore what. Yeah.
Wait till he brings up some more really good
Oh,
examples.
yes, he does.
This
Yes, he
exception.
does.
Stan Lee himself was very clear about why he created the character. Black Panther's entire identity is completely linked to his being the king and protector of Wakanda, a fictional,
being black.
uncolonized.
Yes.
That's and Wakanda was fictional and uncolonized, but it was also just a regular country when Stan Lee and many other people who were involved created Black Panther.
Wakanda was
wasn't. Well,
Wakanda
yeah, they
was
were
MAGA.
well. They talk about isolations, but like Wakanda wasn't like the fucking Asgard. Like that came way later. Sorry to get too nerd on you, but
Black African nation hidden from the world. His race, his heritage, and his cultural background
That's why they
are
still
the
use
entire
fizz.
foundation of the narrative and his motivations.
So it's only important if it's black.
Yes.
If it's a
Basically,
white character,
yes.
that is not, none of that stuff is important, because it is absolutely important for Helen of Troy to be white.
It's
not
not
important.
important.
That's
I think we
It's
can make the
not
same
important
argument that
in-
he's making for the Odyssey
Yeah.
because it's inherently Greek.
It's not important in Homer's
then it
Odyssey
should
with
all
a very
be-
specific country of origin and a specific time. That is the basis of most of Western civilization stories. Sorry, go on.
Yes.
Well, no, it goes back to exactly what Carl was saying in his video, why they race swap, right? It's because if you have an ethnic background that's white, male, straight, or anything like that, that's not important. And you can switch that but switch to anything diverse. Oh, if it's a diverse background of some type, well, now that's core to the character. And how dare you switch? So we can see, the agenda. of
But
it.
It does make
the,
it hard
the
to
reality of it is that, yeah, ethnic background is core to everyone ever, because nobody is born outside of an ethnicity or a society. So actually, nobody is just interchangeable. And all he's really doing is making the argument that all casting should be sensitive to what the character actually is, rather than just be lazy and be lazy about it.
If you change Black Panther's ethnicity, the entire story of Wakanda, isolationism, completely collapses. Another clear example of this to me is Batman. Bruce Wayne isn't just a guy who happens to be white. Growing up with extreme generational white privilege and immense
There it is.
Generational white privilege.
Oh my God.
Growing up with that generational white privilege when he was very young, when his parents were murdered in front of him.
Yeah, it's such privilege.
Yeah, you guys think
He wasn't
LeBron
grown
James
up.
kids have privilege growing up right now? Yes, LeBron James kids have privilege. But we're not allowed to say black privilege because that would be racist. Apparently, this is I was talking to Gary about this. I think weren't we talking about this earlier, Gary? But the reason he brought Batman into it is because he needed some type of white counter argument, and this is all he could come up with.
It's fucking Batman.
This is all he could come up with. It's fucking insane.
And bear in mind, this is all in light that Helen of Troy's ethnicity doesn't matter.
Doesn't
right?
matter.
It's amazing. It's like,
And I'll tell you why it matters for Batman Bruce Wayne to be white is because Batman Bruce Wayne is fucking white.
Yes.
He's white. Deal with it. Don't change it. That's what he is.
Yeah, he doesn't like criminals. He's trying to
Don't
stop
care.
them.
Imagine if they did a remake of The Godfather, right? And
They might.
They will.
It's super serious, and he opens his mouth and just starts talking with a really thick Australian accent. You'd be like, what?
I, as an Australian, would be offended at that.
But it would be so jarring you'd be like, okay, and you'd be like, right, so all of these Italian Americans are like, good day, mate. You know, like,
you know how I
you
would
do
respond?
this at the barbecue of my daughter. You know, like you'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you doing this? I can't bring myself into this because you're making a farce of it, and that's what he's arguing. Let me make a fuss of. But it's the same with anything. Like it's the same with literally anything.
And let me just say, my disability is not their costume, okay? Let's make that clear.
They do a remake of Crocodile Dundee, and it comes out, you know, the Italian fingers going, "Oh my God, Mamma Mia!" You'd be like, "What is this bullshit?"
That's a knife.
That's not a knife.
That's the Parmesan. Yeah.
But that's the disingenuous point. Like John is trying to say that these are just the exceptions. No, John, this is the norm. A character's ethnic background is what they look like. That is a core part of their character.
It's crucial. It's crucial.
To be fair, that Colombian remake of Breaking Bad is fucking awesome. So I don't know if you guys know about that one. It's just look it up. It's amazing.
Title structure of Gotham City is a defining load-bearing element of his background. It shapes how the city views him, how he operates within high society, and the specific legacy of the Wayne family that he carries. His background is directly tied to the narrative and the reality.
His script. You see his arm go down. He's scrolling down his script. Yeah.
It's interesting though that he says that his race and ethnicity is integral to how he goes through high society. You could almost say like the Odyssey, which is dealt with a load of people who are in high society dealing with nations and countries that maybe their race may be integral to it. Something an African may not
specifically in Greece.
His entire argument here could be applied to Helen of Troy, and he's oblivious
What
to
a
it.
retard.
Completely.
When
Well, he
you
didn't
look
write
at a
it, so.
mythological figure like Helen of Troy.
She's
not narrative
Because Batman was real.
Yeah, no, Black Panther, is he real?
Troy
John,
is a real
come on.
place.
I see titties.
I do too.
Ancient titties.
Little
Is
vajayjay
the
too.
face that
Little-
launched 1,000 ships. Has nothing to do with her being white or black. Her stories.
It has to do with the location she was stolen from, right? Wouldn't
Yes.
it? You say, John?
Well, hold on. It does, right? Because this is, I know that you wouldn't necessarily know based on all the promotion material and all this stuff. This is a Greek story. So what Helen of Troy is supposed to represent is the epitome of what the Greeks would have considered to be absolutely gorgeous and stunning and beautiful, because it's a Greek story. You know who they wouldn't have considered the most beautiful woman in the world? Like somebody that you could find working in a church's chicken. Okay? Like that, they would not have considered that the epitome of beauty. Like that is why it is important. Now, the fact that this is a Greek story has been kind of forgotten in all of this when it comes to this adaptation, but that's why it's important. It's for the culture that created this story, what they viewed as beautiful.
And also, like his argument about the white privilege and stuff like that is like, are you saying that there wasn't a certain amount of, privilege that Helen came from? Again, his whole argument of Batman can be applied to Helen of Troy, but is
Yes.
missing that.
Paralleled captivating beauty whose existence sparks a massive, epic conflict between nations. Her motivation and her place in the narrative are defined by her beauty, her tragedy, and her presence, not the specific geographic undertone.
Then rate Lupita. I want to
change of race doesn't break the thematic or narrative integrity.
Presentation by John Campia. It's really from the heart.
Look, I just want an entire video of him doing Hot or Not versus Lupita. I want to find out where he matches her against other women from around the world.
I can go ahead and tell you because I saw him in R&B talking about it the other day, and John Campia, quote, said, I would go to war for that face. That's what he said
Really?
about Yes, that's exactly what he said.
He'd be a very busy man.
Yes, he said, that's a face I'll go to war for.
If it helps, I agree with him
goodie bag.
actually, but I'll just be on the other side.
I don't know if we can trust John Campy when it comes to judgments like that, because I feel like that face has borne a lot of loads, if you know what I mean. So I don't know if he's the best judge. Woke.
I really, honestly, it's mad that like for anyone who doesn't know, right? Everyone spoken about in the Iliad and the Odyssey is a king of somewhere, right? For anyone who doesn't know, right? Odysseus is the king of Ithaca. Menelaus is the king of Sparta. Agamemnon is the king of Mycenae. Ajax is the king of Salamis. Achilles is the king of, is it Phthia? Something like Pythia? Something like that. Everyone's a fucking king, right? So the idea of like privilege, I don't really think we need to talk about privilege, but if you're like, okay, and then Helen of Troy is this black woman, it's like, okay, how is it that the Greeks have black people ruling over? Why are you saying this? What are you trying to tell us? You know, well, that's the point. Again, it's stealing the nobility from white people in their own story and giving it to other people. Ethnicity is a core part of everything that they're doing. And then he's like, well, don't make it about ethnicity, guys. No, it's about ethnicity for you. That's why you're doing it.
The studio made it about ethnicity when they chose.
Well, even Lupita did.
When
Exactly.
Christopher Nolan chose to cast Lupita Nyong'o.
They all made it about ethnicity until you decide to make an objection to it.
Well,
But yeah,
both
the
the actresses.
studio had nothing to do with this, though. It's 100% Nolan. I know what you're saying, Gary, but you know, this is Nolan was not pressured to do this by anybody.
No,
this was
100%
his decision,
his decision,
and
Yeah,
him alone.
100%.
And he doesn't get a pass for like, oh, he was bullied into it or whatever. No,
I think there is.
But I don't think
cultural pressure in Hollywood. I think there is cultural pressure.
I think so, but like even like Oppenheimer, like we all talked about like how that won all these awards and it didn't have like this big diversity push in it at all. And so now you could make the argument that he's never done this before. Okay, but he wins all the awards for Oppenheimer, and
Well,
suddenly
okay, the
they
reason
pull him
why he
into
was
the.
eligible is behind the scenes.
That's my point, though.
Yeah.
So it wasn't in front of the camera. So let's just say he wins all these awards for Oppenheimer, and then they finally pull the big dog in the room, and they're like, "Now, you're part of the crew. Now, we want you to." You know, that could be an argument, but still, I'm not going to give him that much credit. He made this decision, and he's going to live and die with that decision, with how this movie performs. It's on him and him alone.
I also don't think you can let the actors off, though, because both Lupita and John Legg have both spoken about the importance of their own cultures.
Yes.
And then the moment they have a chance to crap on somebody else's, they immediately
Jump
throw
on it,
all of
yeah.
that out the window when they're more than happy to take the job. So I blame the actors as much as the people casting.
Was that Lupita clip, Steph, if you can find it, of Wakanda and Black Panther? We can play that in a second. But let's
see the way changing T'Challa's race would completely break the story of Black Panther. The second objection we see is people saying, look, there's nothing wrong with just wanting characters to stay the same as they have traditionally been described. I just want visual accuracy to the source material. And you know what? I actually agree with the core of that statement. It is completely okay to have a personal preference. If you grew up reading classic mythology and
Objective
visualizing
preference.
Helen of...
Yeah.
Like, it's not personal, because this is the way it's always been.
Just with
If
the
you
context
grew
of
up,
what he
it is
said,
literally a Greek story. It's not just whatever version we read. It is a Greek story about Greeks. That's it.
This is no
that's
different than
factual.
saying I would like gravity to exist in my stories.
Yeah. Like, well, if you grew up with Gravity, maybe that's your personal prep. No.
You know, with his claim that like changing T'Challa, T'Challa's race would change so much of the story and connotation because of the race stuff like that. What has John said about the casting of Black Snake?
We're getting there. We're about to get there.
Really?
We're on our way.
specific way, based
Before
on
we move on
traditional
from this.
descriptions, it's perfectly natural to have an ideal image in your mind of what that character should look like on screen.
Great, that's
No.
brilliant, right? Because
literally just
no, that's totally fine because he is right, but that's because that's the nature of what an aesthetic experience is, right? You draw your personal subjective aesthetic experience from non-aesthetic criteria. The non-aesthetic criteria are the objective things that they put on the screen or sculpt into a sculpture or paint on a painting, right? And so if you are trying to invoke a particular aesthetic experience in a certain, well, anyone who watches, then you choose what you present to them to try and invoke that, right? That's what the artist is sending the message to the audience. And so it's like, right, okay, if they made Elliot Page Achilles, like that, my aesthetic experience is colored by your choice of making it a 5'1" transgender woman, right? Like that you are telling me something that I'm supposed to take from it. So if you make her an unattractive black woman, then you are telling me I subjectively have to take that. And so my natural response being, well, I don't like the casting choice. I have a particular image in my mind of what would be and what wouldn't be acceptable. And he's like, well, that's your experience. It's like, yeah, I know. That's because that's the entire subject that we're discussing. It's like saying 2 + 2 = 4. It's like, yeah, I know. Well, that's just the objective quality of math. Yeah, I know. You know, that's the point. Like making the point. It's like, well, it's your subjective experience. Yes, of course it is. We're discussing art, you flid.
But also facts. Like we
Yes.
said, this is literally a location in the reality of our planet with certain people, and that is the fact. There's no changing that.
Well, that's the entire flaw. It treats it as if this is a debate. And
Yeah,
it's
there's
like, no, I don't have to justify anything at all. It is, I don't care about you, you don't matter. And their entire thing is, no, I innately matter. It's like, no, you don't in this. You can matter in your own stories. You don't matter here. There is no reason why I need to include you. This story specifically excluded you because as standards of which you are not a part of.
However, that argument completely loses all of its validity and integrity the second you claim that a deviation from your preference completely destroys the entire movie.
Not a preference.
We all have preferences when it comes to film adaptations. We might prefer a character to have a certain hair color, wear a specific costume, or speak with a certain accent. But when a director changes a costume design or adapts a character's style, we don't form angry online mobs.
Because they're different arguments, John.
They're 100%
absolutely have.
They're not the same
I form
argument.
angry online mobs. What are you
People will
talking about?
complain about MJ from Spider-Man
Yeah.
not having red hair. She is definitely depicted
Daniel
as red hair.
Craig having blonde hair.
Yes,
Dude, yes.
that's another one.
Look, I guarantee you, John Campea, somewhere throughout the course of his history, has had arguments about how the Superman suit looks.
Bro,
right?
John Campea
right.
whined about the prequels for a decade. Non-fucking stop.
Yep.
He went after people that were prequel fans. He has been doing that non-stop, whining constantly about it. And that's fine. He can do that. But now he wants to sit here and virtue signal and act like he's above that shit.
Well, if you want to
Fuck
equate,
off.
like somebody brought up in chat, if you want to equate Harry Potter not having green eyes to Lupita Nyong'o being Helen of fucking Troy, you're disingenuous or dumb.
Yeah,
This is the entire point of everyone is conservative about the things they care about. Even the Mary Sue released an article titled, "No, I don't want a Black Buffy reboot."
Yes.
The moment it comes to an
It
IP
did.
that you care about, suddenly I want it exactly the same as it's always
And that was
been.
written by a black woman too.
Princess Weeks.
Also,
Yes.
also there are parameters within which you will have an acceptable range of tolerance, right? Like, so, okay, in the Odyssey, Odysseus is actually portrayed as quite a sort of not short, but sort of not very tall, stocky, very hairy and muscular man. Yeah, okay, Matt Damon doesn't look terribly like it, but he's within a parameter of tolerance I would have for it. He's a fairly stocky. He's not very tall. He's not like dark haired, I guess, but okay, fair enough. I'll let that go. He looks close enough to the thing. Whereas, of course, Troy, okay.
You're gonna make it apply to the superhero suit argument, right? Yeah, we've seen a bunch of different iterations of the Superman suit, and you know, everyone that come out is gonna be some version of blue with yellow and red in it. Maybe it'll have a belt, maybe it'll have the trunks, whatever. So you have all these arguments within the realm of acceptable tolerance of something that's being adapted from something else.
Yeah.
If you came out and the Superman suit was fucking pink, everybody would lose their shit.
Yes.
Would that have any
for it.
impact? Like, that's the thing. Would that, in John's mind, if the Superman suit was pink, would it have any noticeable impact on the story or whatever? People would really fucking care about it, though, wouldn't they?
This is just how the fucking internet is. When Ben Affleck was cast as Batman, that was one of the biggest controversies I've ever fucking seen. And it had nothing to do with his skin color. It had everything to do with Ben Affleck was too fucking famous. And guess what? All those people that bitched, most of them ended up liking Ben Affleck after the movie came out. But it was a huge uproar about that. I know people bring Ledger up and all of that, but
Michael
that was
Keaton
just,
before that. But
Yeah,
Michael
so
Keaton,
Hugh Jackman as Wolverine when he was announced, everybody says he's too tall, he's too thin, who the fuck is... Like, it's happened in various amount of reasons. There's reasons why people are complaining about this, and it's justified. And for him to not even acknowledge what the source of the problem is is my big problem with this video.
It's a old
But they
face
never
lie
can.
for him to be in the sphere that he's in for as long as he has been in, and to say that people don't get mad at little changes like that is ridiculous. That's a straight up lie.
Mm-hmm.
And boycott the film before we've ever seen a single frame of it, except
we've seen the
for
trailer,
when
dude.
race is the preference. That's when the reaction shifts from a mild preference to an all-out culture war, which tells you exactly what the real issue is. Now let's take a second and talk about the inconsistency.
Was that one of us, apparently? Is that what that was? Like,
No, but let's just
hold on. I have to scroll down a little bit on my prompter.
Let's go back on that one.
if just for the sake of argument you take it to 100% true, and like every single person, every single argument is only down to the race of Helen of Troy, doesn't that mean it'd be a really bad idea to make that decision? That's a really awful business decision. You should doesn't matter. You don't have to agree with the audience. You do have to give them what they want. I don't need you to agree with me, but if you want to be profitable, that's probably what you should be doing. The argument doesn't work.
Yeah,
Why shifts from a mild.
We didn't.
None of this is really an argument.
Oh no, a culture
no.
war has been started because of the race of Helen of Troy. Yeah, well, why did you not choose an actor who looks appropriate?
Yeah.
Especially if she has a really small part in it. It actually gets worse the smaller her part is, because then you've caused all of this drama for absolutely no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, and Disbrew mentioned it earlier. Give me your argument for her.
Yes.
Yeah. You have to sell me.
To an all-out culture war, which tells you exactly what the real issue is. Now let's take a
I
second.
like
and talk
how he
about the
made that guy white.
Yeah. It's only white
Consistency and the
people that are
constantly
angry white guys.
How do you
about
feel
this.
about his Sons of Anarchy jacket in the background there?
He's had that since the AMC days. They used to call like his AMC movie talk like Sons of AMC or some bullshit like that. So my thing was, John, get on a motorcycle and ride that around. Let's see how it goes for you. Let's see.
Just walk into a biker bar and record it. That's all I want.
How do you do, fellow bikers?
Having goalposts. The sheer inconsistency of this outrage becomes incredibly obvious when you look at how these same crowds react to other massive changes made to beloved source materials. They constantly move the goalposts to fit their outrage. Take the upcoming Harry Potter HBO series, for example. I've talked about this before. The internet lit up with anger when it was announced that a black actor would be portraying Severus Snape, with people screaming that it was a betrayal of the books because they are changing the character. But where was that absolute burning rage when the original film adaptations cast Alan Rickman? And don't get me wrong, Alan Rickman.
Well, no, this is even worse, right?
Wait, let him finish. What's he going to say?
Ryan said I knew it.
Okay, let's hear what he says. Let's hear what he says.
What is he saying?
Let's hear what he says.
I'm going to back up a little bit.
Alan Rickman. And don't get me wrong, Alan Rickman's the man. He was absolutely magnificent as Snape. And we all
positive thing that audience will agree with.
Let's love his performance.
Let him land the plane.
Let him.
Factually speaking, Severus Snape is 31 years old in the book. Alan Rickman was in his mid-50s, literally decades older than he is in the book when he started playing the role. That is a massive fundamental deviation from the source material that completely shifts the timeline and dynamics of the character's generation.
Please, for the love of God, dude.
Everybody shut the fuck up! Because, like, he is correct. And in fact, people that are massive fans of the book have been talking about this. And even though in the movies, Alan Rickman is beloved for his portrayal, it is a different character. He does not play book Severus Snape. He's too traditionally attractive, we'll say. I don't think Alan Rickman's the most handsome guy in the world, but he's far too traditionally attractive to play Snape, period. This is actually something that hardcore book fans have been talking about, have been complaining about, but there are things that are within tolerance for the characters we've talked about a lot. That's such a stupid, retarded thing to bring up, because clearly you're not that big of a fan, John Campia, or you would know that people have been talking about that and how this show would have been the opportunity to do Snape justice to the actual character he was in the book. As much as you might love Alan Rickman's portrayal, it is a different Severus Snape, not only in age, but also in temperament.
And he also looks more like the character than black fucking Snape. And again, John Campbell, you're stepping. Hang on, Disprove. You're stepping into an area you know nothing about. Harry Potter fandom. The vast majority of the Harry Potter fandom, again, brought this up and is against black Snape. You know, you haven't read any of these books. You're not tuned into any of this fandom, and that's why I don't know. Everybody here can give our arguments without reading fucking Chat GPT.
There's another historical example of this as well. Like Joaquin Phoenix playing Napoleon. Napoleon was like 23 when he began his campaigns. Joaquin Phoenix was 48 playing it, and it showed. So it was like, okay. And obviously everyone who's a history nerd that I know fucking hated Joaquin Phoenix as Napoleon. Not because he didn't do a great job as it, actually, I've got to say. I really wasn't impressed. But he was just an old man. Whereas Napoleon was a young guy who was given charge of an artillery corps.
But also, he's complaining about the age, but actually the problems that Black Snake brings to this, and I know nothing about the books, it's not a big thing to me, but when everyone else talks about the problems, they're talking about, well, it entirely changes the source material, so now this guy's going to get lynched under a tree. We didn't have lynchings in the UK. It doesn't fit in an English story at all, in the British story at all. So you are bringing foreign cultural issues into a domestic situation where it doesn't exist. Like if you had Helen of Troy be black, it's going to bring African things into a foreign culture. Like, the age is the least of the problems with that regard.
There's a lot of people in this sphere that can speak from experience through reading the books multiple times on this subject. Dude has to look it up on Chat GPT. He doesn't understand that thematically this will change the story.
Yeah.
Like it fundamentally changes the story, especially later on. You're not going to notice it as much in the, well, every time you see Black Snake, you're going to notice it. But in the first season of this show, he's not in it that much. He becomes a much more important part of the story, and that race will come up, and it will change how you look at Harry's parents, at Harry, at a lot of the kids in the school.
The first book, though, the kids are instantly suspicious. The kids are like, who is this dark man over here? He's scary. You know, it's a little weird.
This was a bad example to bring up. This was
it really is.
Example, and it's just blatant whataboutism. Oh, you guys didn't complain about this when it's not. This is a false equivalences drawing as
All
well.
of his examples are bad because he has no argument, and that's the whole point. There's no argument, as you guys said earlier. Make an argument for her to be black.
Yeah.
Make a direct argument for her to be black, and they can't. Nobody can actually make an argument for that. It's a mistake. It's okay. You can call it a mistake, but that's what it is.
They can't.
So,
call it a mistake.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But you know,
Well, I think they could.
It's a big deal.
I think they could give you the reasons why, but the reasons why they're doing it would be so horrific they daren't actually state them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we hate white people and we want them dead.
Yes, that would literally, we wanted to throw you from your own culture. It's like, well,
yeah.
Yet, there was no widespread boycott, no accusations of an agenda, and no full-scale outrage over a 20-plus year age gap. Why do we object so violently to one specific type of physical difference from the source material, while we completely ignore another completely different physical description from the source material?
Because it's completely
talking about it.
Because some things are different, John. I don't know if I did explain that to you. It's a very different thing to change somebody's entire race than to be a little older.
Make 'em older.
And it's
about the fucking
even in the
impact.
story, they don't make him older. They just kind of don't acknowledge that he's
You
older.
don't acknowledge it, yeah.
It does. You don't need as much in-depth knowledge of it to realize this character is white, this character is black. Look, I was on stream with Metatron on Open Bar yesterday, and I told him, you remember when you were on FNT and we were talking about all the changes to the armor and all that shit, and I made the statement, look, I get where you're coming from when it comes to the armor, why Shad's upset about it, because you guys are experts. But 99% of people are probably not going to be able to pick up that this shouldn't have been around during this time period. But you know what? If this rumor about Helen of Troy being fucking black, if that turns out to be real, that's really going to be a controversy, because you don't need to be an expert. You don't need to have studied it forever. You don't need to be the biggest fan of it to know that she wasn't fucking black. That is blatantly fucking obvious. We're talking about the same things. A lot of people may not have been aware that Snape was that young in the books, but they know
Also,
what
it's
he
not
fucking looks like.
Yes,
it's not
sir.
implausible that there's an older teacher. Yeah, okay. The teacher's like 45 or whatever Snape was. Okay, yeah, he's not 45 in the books. but a teacher being 45 is not like something that takes me out of the story. Like the issue really is that I know the intention as to why you've made this change. You have done this because you hate me. You have done this because you think it immiserates me in some ephemeral, intangible way. You think you are reducing me when you do it. That's why it's been done. And that's why I didn't care about fucking Snape being 20 years older, because I know that wasn't the intention. They were just like, we love Alan Rickman. He'd be great as this character. He's a bit old. Oh, no one will care. Come on, let's just get on with it, because Alan Rickman's great. No, you're choosing this African woman because you hate me because I'm white. That's why you're doing this.
That is a perfect answer.
Well,
Perfect answer.
And Carl has just revealed the actual equation that's at play, because, you know, John is being brought up that equation where it's like black person, you know, equals movie bad. No, that's not how people are now actually identifying what's really happening here. They see a race swap, and that identifies an agenda, and at the core of that agenda is that they hate us. That's the equation.
They're going to be provocative and subversive. That's what it's a red flag for.
And this
They
is
have
not
said
a
over and
theory.
over
This is not a
again.
theory. This is what they have said
Yes.
themselves.
Yes.
Hollywood people, the writers, the producers, actors, directors, everybody, they've said these things. We want to subvert history. We want to change these things. They've said all these things.
Yeah, and a great point of comparison is the movie Zulu, right? About Battle of Rorke's Drift, I think it is. That in that movie, right? It's a historical movie about a battle that the British did win, but only just against the Zulu tribe, the Zulu attack, right? But both sides are portrayed respectfully in this film, and so everyone comes away thinking, "Wow, everyone in that was fucking heroic." You know, everyone in this battle was just like, you know, really taking it and giving it, and everything was crazy. No one came away thinking, "Yeah, haha, I'm supposed to hate the Zulus." No one came away from it. Because the filmmakers obviously weren't trying to denigrate the Zulus. They were trying to represent them respectfully and accurately. And if that was what they were trying to do, and it was like, okay, but we couldn't find a blonde-haired woman to play Helen of Troy for some reason, so we've chosen a brunette, sorry, you know, but look how good-looking this woman is, and she's such a great actress, blah, blah, blah. It'd be fine, everyone would move on. But that's not what's happening.
No. And it's
How
obvious.
Yes.
History and the art treat the portrayal of Jesus, for example. For centuries, in countless massive
Here we
Hollywood
go.
epics, the traditional paintings, Jesus has been portrayed by white European actors
John
with
Campea,
blue
big
eyes,
Jesus
which is
fan.
historically
Yep.
and geographically impossible for a first century Jewish man from the Middle East.
Hey,
Where is the massive
Wait, hold the phone.
That's not true. That's not true. Like, I don't know why he would say that. Like, I mean,
he's an
like,
idiot. He doesn't know what
Yeah.
he's talking
Because
about.
it's
Like,
a
You looked at
narrative.
Gal Gadot. I mean, she's not exactly dark.
look at
This is the
Bashar
narrative.
al-Assad. Like, he's blue-eyed and white skin. Look at Firas at the Lone Seaters. He's got green eyes and white skin. He's from Lebanon. Like, Middle Easterners does not mean brown.
No, that's
He's
not.
racist. John Campea is racist. And if you just apply what he just said about that, Jesus to Helen of Troy, a woman from a specific origin, that it would be impossible for her to be, from Sparta, unless there was, some Thomas Jefferson stuff going on. But you keep applying his argument to the argument of Helen and Troy. He keeps undercutting it.
Yeah.
does.
No,
And
this
also,
is
like,
really-
Go ahead,
he
Shad.
keeps bringing
masterful.
he keeps bringing up just such massive false equivalences, trying to say that, like, pretend that what he's saying even has any merit at all, that Jesus Christ, he's been portrayed a couple of shades too white and he should have had a bit more of a tan. That is minor. That is nowhere near equivalent to casting Jesus Christ as a black character, okay? Like a massive visual disparity and difference there
Or
that is
Cynthia
trying
Erivo.
to draw an equivalence in, which is just it's just so disingenuous. Every argument that is making here is utterly stupid.
It's a master class in how you can avoid addressing the issue while making yourself look stupid over and over and over again. And I just looked at the video, the pinned comment that he left on this video. He says two things. First, don't comment if you haven't seen the video. Second, for those who who want to insist that the Odyssey is bad because they didn't use Greek actors, Please make sure to include links to where you denounce Gladiator for using an Aussie to play a Roman general, and links to your post demanding Mel Gibson fire the white, blue-eyed dude from Finland to play Jesus in The Passion of Christ. I look forward to your links.
Oh my
But
god.
where is the logical continuation of that? It's like if I go, all dogs have 4 legs, he says, well, some have 3. Therefore, Helen of Troy must be black. Like, where is the logical continuation of this argument?
It's the meme of just digging and digging the hole deeper. Holy shit.
I can get a backhoe.
Just random
Shit.
argument.
Outrage demanding historical and source material accuracy here. It doesn't exist because that specific change doesn't trigger their cultural anxieties.
No.
We even saw this years ago with the
Because it's not a big change. It's not like you're bringing up minor things that are not equivalent, John.
But it's not a change that's done to try and hurt my culture. Why would I be feeling cultural anxiety? It's because I know my culture has been under attack for decades now.
Yeah.
That's why.
And the only reason why people bring up the Greek argument about Greek actors is because they're so hell-bent on representation. In this instance, they're completely ignoring it. Nobody really fucking cares that there aren't any actual Greek actors in it. It's that we're using their argument against them.
No.
Yes.
Also, he tries to say that like Australians don't have any European heritage. Mate,
Yeah.
you realize Russell Crowe probably has
you've got loads of
Greek
criminals in
ancestors, you moron. It's like, oh no, he was an Aussie. He can't play a Greek. Are you like?
But he can play the role, right? Because he looks the part and he can put on an accent. It doesn't matter what kind of accent Lupita Nyong'o puts on, unless they fucking paint her face, right?
Yeah,
Unless they go
exactly.
whiteface or whatever, she can't pass for the character she's playing. And Sargon's right.
Exactly.
Like we are talking about minor changes, but even when there's major changes, if it doesn't feel like there's anything nefarious or insidious about it, we can talk about it and we can have arguments about it. And that's what we do
Right.
for a ton of movies and a ton of adaptations and a ton of IPs. But there's certain things that there is no other logical conclusion other than there was some sort of insidious intent behind why these things happen. And those are the things that make people more mad than anything else.
remake of Battlestar Galactica, my all-time favorite television show. When Ronald D. Moore announced the project, a massive wave of fans threw a tantrum because Starbuck was being changed from a man to a woman being portrayed by our beloved Katie Sackhoff. They claimed it ruined the integrity of the original show. But it's fascinating to note that those exact same outraged fans didn't say a single word about the fact that Colonel Ty, who was played by a black actor, Terry Carter, in the original series, was changed to a white actor, Michael Hogan, in the remake. And he was awesome in it.
We brought it up and
silence on
race swap too.
Yes, we did.
And gender swapped
It's
at that.
generalization saying not a single word. What did you ask every single person that's a fan of?
Yeah, please leave a link,
Yeah.
John.
Please
Please leave a link to every single person.
No, but he also destroyed his entire argument. He's like, when Starbuck was first announced, there was a huge backlash against her. But now she's a really beloved character of the entire series because she proved herself to be worthy
Yes.
of the part.
100%.
Therefore, it proves that people aren't actually that bothered about it if you're good. So it's like, well, your argument should be, well, wait. Now, I don't somehow think that she's going to be good as Helen of Troy, but you'd be like, well, at least maybe she'll prove a point.
That
But also,
change was deafening.
The character was changed to be like your culture. You didn't feel culturally threatened. Well, no, why would I? Why would I feel culturally threatened when something is changed to be more like me? Of course I wouldn't, dummy.